Chapter 549. Chao Xing was thinking at this time. It seemed that he had not expected that the secret room had been taken by the survivors half a month ago. But at present, it seems that their strength is not enough to deal with the monsters in the tomb, and they have ended up in a tragic end. Chao Xing thought, the Tyrant series is a level 70 epic equipment set. I guess the trial in that tomb is not simple, and the difficulty must be very high. However, Assam is now an 8th level hero, and with the help of legendary weapons and mounts, it should not be difficult for him to pass the trial. Thinking of this, he felt relieved. After a moment, the sound of electricity came to his ears again. This time, it was a message from Rennies. Lord, I am Rennies. Now I will report to you the situation I encountered in that forest. Rennies, you go. After a slight pause, the deep voice of the Ascalon archer came to his ears again. Yesterday afternoon, I had contact with the elves of that tribe. They were very resistant and attacked me as an enemy, and then a small-scale conflict occurred. However, the ancient elf tribe was not strong, and these elves were quickly defeated by me. Then, I took out the letter, and told them that there was an ancient tree of knowledge in our territory, and sincerely invited them to join. After hearing about the ancient tree of knowledge, this group of elves seemed to be a little moved. The elf leader of this tribe said that they can join your territory, but the prerequisite is that we need to help them deal with a big snake in the forest. Chao Xing's eyes showed doubt, and then asked, Big snake? Do you know how strong it is? Rennies replied after a pause, I don't know exactly how strong it is. However, they said that the big snake stole the sacred object of their tribe. If I can defeat the big snake, I can return the sacred object of the tribe to the ancient elves. They are willing to follow us back to the territory. Chao Xing thought for a moment, then replied, I understand. You should first find the location of the big snake, and then see if you can deal with it based on the opponent's strength. Remember to act within your capabilities. If the enemy is too strong, you must retreat immediately and notify me. Don't be stubborn, understand? Yes, Lord. Soon, both parties hung up the call. Chao Xing smiled again. Now, Assam is undergoing the trial, and Rennies has also made progress. The stubborn ancient elves even compromised. As long as their holy objects are recovered, negotiations can be held. It seems that things are developing in a good direction. Thinking about it, Chao Xing has already arrived at the tavern area of the territory. After having a good meal and a good drink, General Crow led his men out of the tavern. His face was red, and he spoke with a strong smell of alcohol. Lord Chao Xing, thank you for your hospitality. My brothers and I drank a lot. I haven't had such a good time for a long time. Behind him, the captains also laughed and said, Yes, it is indeed a good wine that General Crow praised so much. Chao Xing smiled and said, You are too polite. If you like it, I will bring you some when I go to the palace later. On the field, the officer's eyes lit up and seemed to be moved. However, although Crow drank a lot of wine, he still remained sober at this time and said with a smile, That's not necessary, Lord Chao Xing. Drinking will cause trouble, so we can only indulge ourselves during this outing. If His Majesty knows that we drink in the palace, we will be punished. Crow rejected Chao Xing's suggestion, and the other captains showed a trace of regret on their faces. But they also knew that Crow's suggestion was right. Chao Xing smiled, I see, then we can only wait until you are free next time to visit my territory. Crow cupped his hands, Lord Chao Xing, I won't bother you now, I have to go back and report. Okay, I won't see you off. After saying that, Crow led the other captains into the teleportation array. Chao Xing watched them leave until the figures of the kingdom's generals and captains completely disappeared. Then, he turned around and shouted, All combatants, assemble. Instantly, more than 2,000 combatants in the entire territory stopped what they were doing. They walked out of the training ground, the Magician Tower or the Knight's Hall, and gathered towards the center of the territory. Then they arranged their troops neatly according to their own types. Nearly 2,000 combatants looked at their lord with a firm gaze. Chao Xing did not speak, and first took out the altar of the gods of Balthazar. Then, he took out the crowns, mithril, and elemental crystals from his backpack and placed them on the ground. A total of more than 2 billion crowns and hundreds of thousands of mithril. Just looking at them was quite amazing, in the surprised eyes of the group of combatants. Chao Xing first took out all the food in his backpack and piled it into a mountain of food. There are only 8 million units of food here, and there are still about 4 million units missing. So, Chao Xing said, Si Zhuang, lead all the staff to the underground warehouse and move another 1 million kilograms of food up. 1 kilogram of food is equal to 5 units, which is completely enough. Last time, We got a lot of food in the major bases of the Church of Light, so the reserves in Chaoxing's territory are still sufficient. After receiving the order, the polar man Si Zhuang quickly started to act. He led nearly 1,000 staff members of the territory to the basement. Like marching ants, they carried bags of food on their shoulders and stacked them neatly. Before long, more than 2 million kilograms of food were placed on the ground, like a mountain. This batch of food is a lot, really a lot, especially in this resource-poor world. Food is a scarce resource. But in exchange for more than 1,000 people breaking through to the master level, it is still very worthwhile. At the same time, the warriors on the field saw the huge amount of resources on the ground, and their eyes were already wide open, staring at the altar. They also realized that their lord wanted to help them break through again, and they were already at level 50. What would the next breakthrough be? Obviously, it would be level 6. When these warriors thought about becoming level 6 warriors, they were very excited. There was a fanatic look in their eyes when they looked at their lord. After all, that was level 6. There were not many warriors in the kingdom, and it was a height that they could never reach in their previous lives. Chaoxing smiled and said, "Then everyone knows. Next, I will let all the warriors in the territory break through to the 6th level. As for the others who haven't broken through, don't worry, it will be your turn later. So now, are you ready?" All the warriors shouted in unison, "Ready, respected lord." "Very good." After saying that, Chaoxing directly clicked on the breakthrough function of the altar. "Do you want to consume crown asterisk 2.55 billion, food asterisk 12.75 million, to make 1,275 level 50 warriors break through to the 6th level?" "Yes." The next moment, waves of red mist condensed from the altar of Balthazar's gods. This mist began to spread gradually, swallowing up all the krona, food, and mithril on the ground. As more and more resources were swallowed, the scale of the blood mist became larger and larger, and in an instant, it reached an unprecedented scale. Crash! The blood mist turned into a blood column, and soared into the sky. Then it split into more than 1,000 small blood columns, and fell on the soldiers. In an instant, these soldiers felt a burning power appear in their bodies. This power is gradually transforming their bodies, making them stronger. Waves of powerful auras rise up. Your territory members, Yaskin has successfully broken through to become a 6th level leader level creature, with basic attributes increased by 100%, health increased by an additional 100%, abnormal resistance increased by 50%, and prosperity increased by 15. 5th level leader equals 10 prosperity. Your territory members. More than 1,000 system prompts sounded. This also means that Chaoxing has more than 1,000 master level strongmen. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Finally, I have achieved another goal I had originally envisioned. With the current strength of my territory, I am enough to fight against a 1,000,000-man army. What does a 1,000,000-man army mean? A few days ago, in the border area, the Ice Crystal Kingdom prepared to fight against the Violent Kingdom, and the number of troops was about the same. In other words, if Chaoxing went all out, he could even kill all the troops on the border. Of course, 1,000,000 troops are definitely only a part of the power of a kingdom. After all, their territory is too large. The border is not just one place. Many areas are garrisoned by a large number of troops left by the Ice Crystal Kingdom, including a large number of trebuchets, advanced artillery, and other war tools. When a kingdom enters a state of war, it is still very powerful to mobilize all its forces. However, this still cannot deny that Chaoxing's territory strength has reached a very strong level. In addition to the strength of the territory, the prosperity of his territory has also skyrocketed. On the prosperity rankings, the number behind Chaoxing almost began to soar wildly. 7,342, 7,682, 8,156, 8794 in the blink of an eye, it broke through 9,000. Some survivors had just clicked on the 4 districts' prosperity rankings and noticed this astonishing scene. They all stared at the changes on the rankings with wide eyes, until a moment later, Chaoxing's prosperity finally stopped jumping. And the eyes of these survivors have already shown extremely shocked expressions. Ranking of prosperity of the 4 major regions. First place, Chaoxing, Territory Prosperity, 11574. Second place, Wei Jiani, Territory Prosperity, 1846. Third place, Bai Ji, Territory Prosperity, 1638. Fourth place, Chung Lu, Territory Prosperity, 1142. Fifth place, Walls Bolt, Territory Prosperity, 1078. Sixth place. Looking at his prosperity of over 10,000, these survivors even wiped their eyes, thinking they had seen it wrong. After confirming that it was true, everyone took a deep breath, Then, they couldn't wait to share it in the chat channel. Brothers, go check the prosperity rankings. Boss Chaoxing has made another big move. It's too abnormal. Hearing this, the other survivors looked puzzled. Although they didn't know what happened, since it was related to the number one person in the 4 major districts, it also attracted a lot of attention. So, they opened the rankings one after another. Similarly, after seeing the exaggerated number, everyone's face was shocked. It's outrageous. The prosperity has actually reached 10,000, which is almost 5 or 6 times the gap with the second place. Yes, since the end of the Oracle War, we can see that the prosperity of Chaoxing has skyrocketed almost every once in a while. I really don't know how he did it. The most outrageous thing is that Chaoxing has not created a legion. In other words, he relies on the strength of his territory to gradually widen the gap with other legions. When the survivors realized this, the shock in their eyes became even stronger. Before they could react, a system prompt suddenly appeared in front of all the survivors. Announcement for the whole server: all survivors, please note that the territory prosperity of the survivor lords of the 4 major regions, Chaoxing, has exceeded 10,000. This is the first territory in the whole server to exceed 10,000 prosperity. Let us congratulate this lord for reaching a higher level of strength. This time, it is not a regional announcement, but a full server announcement. In other words, the remaining 2 billion survivors in the world has seen this prompt and the name of that man. Instantly, the entire world chat channel was in uproar. Vladimir, oh, this Chaoxing's territory prosperity has exceeded 10,000? Is he a monster? Prakash, this is impossible. The prosperity of our territory, the first lord of the Indian region, has just exceeded 1,500. How did he break through 10,000? Fujikawa Ritsuko, you are worthy of being the ancestor Chaoxing. Last time, he killed us in the Battle of Oracle, and in the blink of an eye, he has broken through to 10,000 prosperity. Lu Deng, Boss Chaoxing is awesome. For the majority of survivors, the name Chaoxing is familiar to everyone. After all, he stole the show in the last server-wide live broadcast of the Oracle War. However, everyone knows that he is very strong. But unexpectedly, he not only became the first existence in the server to have a prosperity of over 10,000, but also caused a server-wide announcement. This is beyond everyone's expectations. Among the top survivor lords around the world, there are many survivors with special opportunities, like Wei Jiani and Bai Ji. Some survivors were even lucky enough to obtain a few master-level power hearts and reach the master level. However, the prosperity of their territory was only about 1,500 or 1,600. Now that this system announcement came out, I realized how big the gap between me and Chaoxing was. After all, everyone knows that if the territory does not develop territory culture, agriculture, or animal husbandry, the growth of prosperity will become slower and slower. And he seemed to have no bottleneck, advancing all the way. This momentum is simply despairing. At the same time, Chaoxing also heard a special prompt. Because you are the first survivor lord in the server whose territory prosperity exceeds 10,000, you will receive a special reward. Get the title, Doomsday Guide, get 3 divine power fragments *. Seeing this prompt, Chaoxing's face once again showed a smile. Not bad, not bad. I got another 3 divine power fragments. This thing is the resource I need most at the moment. Compared with the last prosperity calculation, the prosperity of his territory was just over 2,000. Now, it has directly exceeded 11,000, an increase of nearly 4 or 5 times. After all, during this period, the strength of his entire territory has been rapidly increasing. In addition to the improvement of the soldier's strength, the mechanical factory has also produced hundreds of robots and more than 100 5th-level ancient trees. In addition, there are a large number of elites, leaders, and even commander-level blood spiders. That's why the prosperity has increased so quickly. Survivors Tianjing, Lu Muxue, Tong Chu and others all saw this system prompt. There was admiration in their eyes, especially Tianjing. He said excitedly, "Boss, you are so awesome. You actually became the first lord in the server to break 10,000 prosperity. The first survivor ever to be announced by the whole server. So cool, right?" Chaoxing had a faint smile on his face. In fact, when he was fighting against the Zhuama monster and completed the world's first kill, he had already triggered the world announcement. However, his strength was not strong enough at that time, and there was also a seed of light watching him, so he did not let the system announce it. But now it is different. At present, the seed of light has been killed by him, and the enemy is left with the Watcher, so there is no need to keep a low profile. In addition, the reward this time is quite good, which also makes Chaoxing feel better. Then, He looked at the attributes of the title. Doomsday Guide, Special Title. Title Attributes: Attack Power plus 3000, Armor plus 1000, Critical Hit Rate plus 10%. Title Special Effect: Doomsday Guide. When you lead 100 survivors to fight, all survivors will increase their attributes by 10%. When leading 1000 survivors to fight, all survivors will increase their total attributes by 20%. When leading 10,000 survivors to fight, all survivors will increase their total attributes by 50%. When leading 100,000 survivors to fight, all survivors and their subjects will trigger the Doomsday Return effect. Doomsday Return. You will be resurrected once with full health after death. Title Introduction. As a strong survivor, you are capable of taking on the corresponding responsibilities. You will lead the last survivors to fight in desperate situations, and preserve the last spark for all mankind. Seeing the attributes of this title, Chao Xing's eyes showed a thoughtful look. Is it a title that only works when leading other survivors to fight? But this attribute is really abnormal. Not only can it increase all attributes by up to 50%, but it can also revive the combatants under their command once with full health. Of course, Chao Xing usually won't fight with this group of survivors, so the special effects behind it are basically useless. But the additional attributes of this title are very good. After all, it has 3000 attack power and 1000 armor bonus. It was almost equivalent to the basic improvement of half a legendary equipment. He put it on with satisfaction. At the same time, the chat channel attracted a lot of discussion from survivors because of a server-wide announcement. At this moment, the screen was still swiping frantically. At this time, Chao Xing seemed to remember something. Next, I am preparing to create a legion. It is just right to use this wave of popularity to promote it and attract a group of experts. Chapter 550. So, Chao Xing posted a message in the chat channel at the right time. Everyone, I am Chao Xing. Since he rarely speaks in the chat channel, coupled with the server-wide announcement just now, it naturally attracted a lot of attention. Instantly, a huge amount of information burst out. Fuck, it's really Chao Xing, the legendary figure has spoken. Capture the first in the server alive, take a photo. Big Brother Chao Xing, I'm your little fangirl. Big Brother Chao Xing, how did you achieve 10,000 prosperity? Can you tell us? There was too much information to read. At this moment, hundreds of members of Bingus spoke at the same time. Everyone, stop swiping the screen and see what Big Brother Chao Xing is going to say. You can't see it if you keep swiping. With hundreds of people sending messages at the same time, most of the survivors saw the information. Everyone gradually stopped swiping the screen, and the chat channel that was scrolling wildly calmed down. Chao Xing spoke at the right time. Next, I plan to create a legion and then recruit a group of survivors. If you are interested, you can join my legion. It is best to have a certain foundation and a lord with decent strength to join. As soon as this was said, the chat channel caused an uproar again. Fuck, Boss Chao Xing is actually going to create a legion. Did I hear it right? Yeah, we thought that Boss Chao Xing was going to be a lone ranger and invincible all the time. He has created a legion, so I will definitely help. Boss Chao Xing, where is your legion headquarters? I will come and join right away. Su Hong, you are from our Ruoshui legion. Do you want to betray me? Go to hell. Boss Chao Xing has created a legion, so I will definitely turn from darkness to light and join him. Who has been wandering for half his life, and has never met a wise leader. Father Chao Xing, please accept my greetings. Looking at the enthusiastic chat channel. The legion leaders of the 4 regions were feeling mixed emotions at this moment. This was the appeal of this man. It was extremely difficult for them to recruit people before, and they had to promise certain benefits and negotiate conditions before other survivors would join. As soon as this man appeared and said that he wanted to create a legion, there were countless masters among the survivors ready to join him. There were also a few people among them who they had been fighting for a long time, but failed to get, but now they were scrambling to join Chao Xing's legion. With a slight sigh, they also knew that their prestige could not be compared with this man. At the same time, Chao Xing said again, "Don't worry, everyone, I will tell you about the situation of the legion first. The location of this legion is probably near my territory. It is an initial territory. Everything has to start from scratch. Including the infrastructure, personnel, resources, etc. of the territory, they are just starting. Besides, I don't usually appear in this legion. The affairs of the territory are taken care of by other people. It's equivalent to a figurehead. Of course, since it is near my territory, I can provide assistance if you encounter any problems. So, if you want to join, take a look at the conditions I mentioned first." Hearing this, the survivors' enthusiasm suddenly extinguished a lot. They thought they would directly join Chao Xing's territory. Through the understanding during this period of time, many survivors know the location of Chao Xing's territory. There are also many survivors who secretly came to his territory, took a few photos, and uploaded them to the forum. Although the whole territory cannot be seen, just looking at the towering walls and arrow towers, one can see how prosperous this territory is. It must be very safe to live in such a territory. And more importantly, Chao Xing can be seen every day. As a result, what he meant now was that a branch group was created, which also made the survivors a little disappointed. However, this still could not stop the enthusiasm of some survivors. After all, they all knew how strong this man was. Even if it is just a branch, it must have more potential than other legions. A large number of survivors signed up enthusiastically. Boss Chao Xing, it's okay to branch out. I haven't joined a legion yet. Yeah, I haven't joined either. It's better for everyone to develop a territory together and start from scratch. Haha, if you join now, you will be a veteran. You will have face when you tell others about it in the future. Brothers, hurry up. Boss Chao Xing, please announce the position quickly. We can't wait. Chao Xing replied in the chat channel. Okay, wait a moment. I notify you when I've created the legion. After that, he closed the chat channel. And a large number of survivors were waiting excitedly in the chat channel. At the same time, Chao Xing's mailbox came to 999,999 again. In addition to the survivors in the 4 major regions, who were ready to join the Legion, there were also emails from survivors around the world, including his few friends who were contacting him. Obviously, the world announcement and the information that Chao Xing was going to create a Legion attracted the attention of countless people. The messages in those mailboxes can be ignored. After all, there are millions of messages, and it would take days and nights to read them all. The messages of these friends need to be checked. So, Chao Xing first checked Yao Yiming's message. Yao Yiming, Boss Chao Xing, are you going to create a legion? Chao Xing replied, yes. Yao Yiming said, I think you mean that you want to develop a territory from scratch. Does everything in this territory have to start from scratch? That's right, because my territory will still maintain the original pace of development, so I can only develop a second territory. Hearing this, Yao Yiming immediately replied, actually, there is no need to be so troublesome, Boss Chao Xing. You can just occupy my territory directly. Chao Xing was slightly stunned. But thinking about it carefully, this seems to be a good choice. First of all, Yao Yiming's territory is not far from his territory, only a dozen kilometers away, and it can be reached in a few minutes. In addition, the other party's territory has been developed for several months. Furnaces, lords' mansions, and various buildings are basically all available. It can be said that as long as we go there, we can save at least 1 or 2 months of development time. In addition, they have cooperated well in the previous cooperation, and they have maintained a good cooperative relationship. Chao Xing's heart moved slightly, but he still wanted to confirm it again before that. Are you sure it's okay? If your territory is used as a legion base, I may give the authority of those buildings to others. Even the command of the staff and combatants in your territory will not be completely in your hands. Yao Yiming replied happily, of course no problem, Boss Chao Xing. You saved my life, and my family also received your help. Without you, there would be no territory I have now. As for the command rights and so on, if it is someone sent by Boss Chao Xing, we don't have to worry about it, and I can just be a hands-off boss. Chao Xing smiled. The reason why he helped him several times before was because Yao Yiming had good character. Although he was not strong, he at least knew how to be grateful. Now, he suddenly thought of contributing his territory to give back to himself. Of course, this is also a good thing for Yao Yiming. Obviously, with the presence of Chao Xing's people, the strength of his territory will be greatly increased. Facing the next crisis, there will be more protection. Okay, I bring people to your territory to take a look. Chao Xing replied. Hearing his promise, the other party's tone also seemed very happy. He quickly replied, okay, I'm in the territory, waiting for you at any time. After closing Yao Yiming's private chat, Chao Xing smiled and shook his head. I didn't expect that the problem of the Legion headquarters was solved so quickly, which is good. Then, he continued to open the private chat channel to check the message sent by Ji Xinhua. Boss Chao Xing, you finally created a Legion. Chao Xing was slightly stunned, and then asked in confusion, what's wrong, have you been waiting for me to create a Legion for a long time? Yes. Ji Xinhua replied excitedly, you should know that I created a Xinhua Legion, and it has now been upgraded to level 3, right? Yes, what's wrong? Chao Xing replied. The original intention of creating this legion was to prepare for you to be the leader, and then take over. When the time comes, all of us will come together to join you, and you can enjoy the shade under the big tree. Hee hee. Chao Xing was stunned again, feeling a little surprised. I didn't expect that the purpose of this girl creating a legion was to let me take over. No wonder her army is called the Star Moon Army. She smiled helplessly, and shook her head. Ji Xingyue continued, but please rest assured, Boss Chao Xing, I will definitely not take over the leadership. The members of the Star Moon Army are very united, and everyone admires you very much. They will definitely obey you 100%. When the time comes, just give me the position of deputy leader. Chao Xing heard Ji Xingyue's proposal, but did not agree immediately. Obviously, if she brought people over at this time, Chao Xing not only solved the problem of the territory's garrison, but also directly solved the problem of the territory's members. It can be said that he has ascended to heaven in one step. However, it is not easy for the Xingyue Legion to develop to this day and upgrade to level 3. Chao Xing also saw those members during the last Ice Dragon Challenge, and their combat quality is not bad. After so long, they have a tacit cooperation. In other words, they are actually equivalent to a fixed group. And as the territory develops in the future, Chao Xing will definitely continue to expand the Legion. When the number of people increases, there will definitely be a situation of personnel redistribution, and the Xingyue Corps will be disrupted. Chao Xing thought for a moment, and then said, how about this, Xingyue? Your Xingyue Corps will continue to be retained, and you don't have to come over for now. Ji Xingyue on the opposite side heard this, and suddenly became a little depressed. Ah, why, Boss Chao Xing? Do you think that the strength of our army is too weak? She asked tentatively. Chao Xing smiled and replied, of course not, but I have a better arrangement for your Xingyue Corps. Next, my newly created legion will develop quickly. After I stabilize here, you can lead the whole legion to join my legion, and then you can also develop as a branch at the same time. There is no need for everyone to crowd into one legion base. What do you think? Ji Xingyue was silent for a moment, but she soon realized that Chao Xing's plan was the best choice. In this way, it would not disrupt her Xingyue Legion personnel, and they could continue to cooperate later. It's like achieving a win-win situation, which is pretty good. Okay, Boss Chao Xing, I listen to you. Then I be in the territory, waiting for your instructions at any time. Okay. After closing the private message, Chao Xing said happily, in this way, the issue of the division is also resolved. This time the creation of the Legion was smoother than expected. If other Legion leaders knew that Chao Xing created the Legion so smoothly, they would probably be jealous to death. After all, these Legion leaders all had a lot of difficulties in the early stages of Legion creation. There are too many problems to solve, from territory planning, personnel recruitment, resource allocation, to accepting staff from other territories, etc. It can be said that every Legion commander has stepped on some pitfalls along the way, and Chao Xing can be said to have skipped these steps directly. Next, we will go to Yao Yiming's territory and directly create a Legion. But before that, Chao Xing had to issue tasks to these soldiers. So he ordered, all the soldiers who have broken through, step out. In an instant, more than 1,500 people stood up. In addition to the warrior professions, there were also Silver Hand Knights, Star Country Swordsmen and Nightmare Archers. They either used the expert level Heart of Power to break through to the 5th level, or used Balthazar's God Altar to break through to the 6th level. Now they all need to kill a large number of monsters to upgrade and improve their strength. Chao Xing said, next, you 1,500 people will be divided into 15 teams, with 100 people in each team, and look for the enhanced ice nests from different directions. In addition, the Silver Hand Knights will lead the Griffins to search within a 200-kilometer radius of the territory. If you see any enhanced ice nests, report them immediately in the team channel. Nearby warriors will gather at the coordinates of the Silver Hand Knights and destroy the ice nests inside. Everyone remember to return to the territory before dark. On the field, everyone looked at each other and said respectfully, yes, respected lord. After that, more than 1,000 people were divided into more than a dozen teams, and quickly left the territory like marching ants. Then, Chao Xing looked at Tianjing next to him, and said, let's go, you will come with me later. The legion over there will be handed over to you next. Tianjing immediately felt a pressure. Before this, he didn't even have much experience in combat, let alone managing a legion. However, during this period of time, he has also made mental preparations and replied solemnly, boss, I will do my best to manage your legion. Chao Xing nodded slightly, and then looked at Lu Mushua next to him. Mushua, you come with us too. The female knight nodded gently, okay. Then, Chao Xing blew a whistle and called 2 griffins. The 3 of them quickly jumped onto the backs of the griffins. Tianjing rode one alone, and he and Lu Muxue rode one together. Whoosh! The griffin's wings fluttered, and it quickly took the 3 of them high into the sky. Then, like 2 sharp arrows, it rushed into the distance. Shwa! The surrounding scene quickly retreated. It took less than 2 minutes to reach the vicinity of Yao Yiming's territory and approach the center of his territory. A system prompt appeared. Do you want to apply to visit the territory of the survivor lord, Yao Yiming? Yes. Chao Xing directly clicked OK. In less than 2 seconds, he heard the system prompt. The application was successful. The other lord has agreed to your entry. Now you can go to the other territory without being attacked by the arrow tower. Soon, 2 griffins took Chao Xing and flew over Yao Yiming's territory. From this angle, he could already see the whole picture of his territory. Compared to 2 months ago, Yao Yiming's territory has also undergone significant changes. I remember when I first met him, this territory didn't even have a wall, and there were only a few simple buildings inside. Now, the edge of the territory is not only surrounded by a layer of primary and intermediate mixed walls, but also has a diameter of an astonishing 1 kilometer, and at the edge of the territory wall, there are rows of intermediate elemental arrow towers. Next to it are the 10 destroyer crossbows given to him by Chao Xing. Compared to most lords, his territory's defense force is still quite strong. However, the layout of Yao Yiming's territory seems quite messy, and there is basically no planning. A greenhouse was built next to the lord's mansion, in which some green vegetables were planted. A group of residential houses were built around a toilet, and next to the toilet was the canteen. It can be said that they built wherever there was an open space. This is also the current situation of most of the survivor lords. After all, they don't have the giant power vine in Chao Xing's territory. To change the layout of the territory at will. This demolition and construction will consume a lot of resources and time. At this stage, let's just be chaotic. After observing for a while, Chao Xing found a clearing where he could land. Let's go there. Cry. The griffin made a cool cry and landed quickly with the 3 people. At this moment, with their arrival, the staff and combatants in this territory all looked at the 2 griffins in surprise. After all, these adult griffins have the strength of a full level 70 leader. Any one of them can cause extremely serious damage to this territory, or even destroy it. For the people of this territory, just looking at these griffins, they can't help but feel a sense of pressure in their hearts. At the same time, Chao Xing and others have jumped off the backs of the griffins. A moment later, the door of the lord's mansion was pushed open, and 2 figures walked out from inside. The man was wearing a mixed set of armor and holding a pistol in his hand. He looked like a cold iron mechanic. The woman was wearing a tight leather suit, outlining her tall and slender figure, and she was carrying a 1-meter-long bow on her back. It was Yao Yiming and his sister Yao Ying. The 2 walked quickly to Chao Xing and said with a surprised smile on their faces, "Boss Chao Xing, you are too fast, aren't you? You arrived in just a few minutes, and we haven't reacted yet." Sister Yao Ying, who was standing next to him, looked at the 2 huge creatures next to her with surprise and exclaimed, "Wow, are these griffins?" Lu Muxue chuckled, "Yes, you can come and touch them." Yao Ying's eyes lit up when she heard this. "Really, Sister Muxue?" "Of course," Lu Muxue responded. Chapter 551. Yao Ying immediately walked forward excitedly, and came to the side of the griffin and touched it. In comparison, these griffins are nearly 2 or 3 meters tall when standing on the ground. Although Yao Ying is not short, about 1.7 meters, she looks very petite next to the griffin. The griffin allowed her to touch it without any movement. "Wow, such a smooth touch, just like touching a piece of silk." The little girl said in amazement, "Brother Chao Xing, Sister Muxue, you are really amazing. You can even catch this kind of creature and tame it as a mount." She turned her head to look at Yao Yiming, and then asked, "Brother, when can you catch a griffin for me to use as a mount?" Yao Yiming's face was immediately black. "I think you don't want me to live. I'm going to catch a griffin. It's better for a griffin to catch me." Yao Ying said with disappointment, "Alas, having a brother who doesn't live up to expectations is really troublesome." Yao Yiming next to her looked at her again speechlessly, and the others also had faint smiles on their faces. After this, the atmosphere among the crowd became much more lively. After a moment, Chao Xing said, "Yao Yiming, let's talk about business now." "Okay, boss Chao Xing." Chao Xing first looked at the cloaked figure and said, "Tianjing, come here." Tianjing, who had been standing next to the griffin, walked over, then slowly lifted the cloak on his head, revealing the lizard head covered with scales. Seeing his appearance, Yao Yiming and Yao Ying were shocked. The timid Yao Ying even took a few steps back. But soon they realized that this strange man was a member of Chao Xing's territory. He immediately looked at him apologetically. Yao Yiming seemed to have seen something, and his eyes were a little surprised. Boss Chao Xing, is this person a survivor like us? Yes. Hearing Chao Xing's admission, the Yao brothers and sisters were even more surprised. Yao Yiming said curiously, "It's true, then how did this friend become like this?" Chao Xing said, "He changed his race because he became a hidden profession. When he is not fighting, he usually wears a cloak so as not to scare others." After listening to Chao Xing's explanation, the Yao brothers and sisters looked enlightened. Yao Yiming said with emotion, "So he is a hidden profession, no wonder I think his aura is so scary." Sister Yao Ying beside him was also excited. "Yeah, I am now level 42, but I still can't see his attributes." You are indeed someone close to Brother Chao Xing. Although they are strange, they are all very powerful. At this moment, Tianjing was embarrassed by their praise. "Hello, my name is Tianjing." Seeing him so embarrassed, the Yao brothers and sisters seemed not so scared of his terrifying appearance. They greeted him one after another. "Hello, my name is Yao Yiming, and this is my sister Yao Ying." After the two sides introduced themselves, they had a preliminary acquaintance. Chao Xing continued, "Next, Tianjing will take my place here to manage the Legion with you, recruit people, or fight and other tasks. At the same time, he will also provide help in your territory. If you have any problems, you can find him immediately." Yao Yiming immediately replied, "No problem." Boss Chao Xing also looked at Tianjing next to him, and said, "In this territory, you can't bully others by relying on your strength, and you are not allowed to abuse your power. Do you understand?" There was a hint of warning in his tone. Tianjing immediately said faintly, "Boss Chao Xing, do you think I look like this kind of person? I don't even dare to bully the chickens in my territory." Hearing this, everyone on the field laughed. Chao Xing didn't say anything more. He was just giving a warning. In fact, Chao Xing could see that Tianjing's mental state was a little abnormal, but he didn't show it under normal circumstances. "Then, let's discuss the name of the Legion. Everyone think of a name, and then we will refer to which name is better." Hearing the name, everyone on the field immediately showed an interested look in their eyes. They thought about it, and then quickly came up with a name of their own, such as the Starshift Legion, the Undead Legion, etc. However, after a heated discussion, the name of the Legion was still not determined. The main reason was that everyone was dissatisfied with the Legion name given by the other party. Yao Ying said excitedly, "Calling the Starshift Legion means that Chao Xing is extremely powerful and can change the stars." Yao Yiming rolled his eyes at her. "It's not as good as the Gods Coming Legion." Yao Ying immediately said angrily, "The Gods Coming Legion is so ugly, the Starshift Legion is obviously better." Tianjing said embarrassedly, "How about calling it the Death Star Corps?" This name made everyone on the field roll their eyes. It's better not to choose it. Even Chao Xing himself chose a few names and felt a little dissatisfied. For a while, it seemed to be in a stalemate. Even Chao Xing didn't expect that it would be difficult to come up with a good name. And at this time, Lu Mushua whispered, "How about calling it the Spark Corps?" Hearing this name, everyone was slightly stunned, and then muttered it in their mouths. Spark. This name has many layers of meaning. In addition to the meaning that a spark can start a prairie fire, it also means that a little fire can ignite this cold world. And the star represents Chao Xing. The eyes of the crowd gradually lit up. Yao Ying was the first to say, "This name is really nice, Sister Mu Shui." Including Tianjing also said, "I think this name is the best." Obviously, everyone agrees with this name. Lu Mushua listened to the praises of the crowd, and a faint smile appeared on her face, acting very calm. Now, she has more and more of a strategic temperament. Chao Xing smiled and said, "Then call it the Spark Corps." Now that the name is determined, the next thing is to create a legion. Then, Chao Xing continued to look at Tianjing and said, "Now, I will occupy your territory." Yao Yiming nodded and said, "No problem, you occupy it, Boss Chao Xing." And Chao Xing was not polite, and directly opened the Lord System interface. "Do you want to apply to occupy the territory of the Survivor Lord, Yao Yiming? After occupying, you will obtain the construction authority of all buildings in the territory, as well as the command and expulsion rights of other staff. Note, if the lord of the territory is not dead, the other party's consent is required for occupation." "Yes." Yao Yiming also heard the system prompt. He clicked to agree without hesitation. Occupation successful. Now you have all the rights of Lord Yao Yiming's territory. After doing all this, The next step is to create a legion. Chao Xing first opened the legion interface, which had a Create Legion button. However, creating a legion requires resources. Creating a first-level legion requires more than 1,000 reputation points, and 2,000 iron and 50,000 crowns. In the early days when the legion function was just opened, these resources stumped many people. But now, it is naturally not worth mentioning for Chao Xing. After all, his reputation value has reached 120,000. Then, he directly clicked Create. The legion was successfully created. Please select the legion station. Chao Xing looked at the Lord's mansion in the center of the territory in front of him, and then directly selected the current territory. The legion station was successfully selected. Please name your legion. Chao Xing directly entered the word Spark. Congratulations! The Spark core was created successfully, and the core interface has been opened. At this moment, Yao Yiming, Lu Muxue, Yao Ying and others all received system prompts, and a smile appeared on their faces. A lot of new functions were also unlocked in front of Chao Xing. There are many new functions in the core interface. The first one is the ranking of core in 4 regions. This ranking is calculated based on the level and prosperity of the core. However, the priority of the core level is ranked before the prosperity. In other words, under the same level, whoever has a higher territory prosperity will be ranked first. But if the opponent's legion level is higher than yours, even if your territory prosperity exceeds his, you will be ranked behind him. There is another point worth noting. This territory prosperity is calculated according to the prosperity of your legion headquarters. In other words, even if Chao Xing has created a legion now, the prosperity of the territory is calculated based on Yao Yiming's territory, and is more than 10,000 prosperity will not be taken into account. I looked at the list. First place, Jianga Legion, Legion level, level 4, leader, Wei Jiani, territory prosperity, 1846. Second place, Moment Eternal Legion, Legion level, level 4, leader, Bai Ji, territory prosperity, 1638. Third place, Samsara Legion, Legion level, level 4, leader, Chung Lu, territory prosperity, 1142. Fourth place, 3158th place, Spark Legion, Legion level, level 1, leader, Chao Xing, territory prosperity, 389. As a level 1 legion, Spark Legion is ranked more than 3,000 people at this time. Besides, Yao Yiming's territory is not very prosperous. Chao Xing is not in a hurry. After all, he hasn't started recruiting people yet. Then he looked at other functions. Legion Daily, Legion Resources, Legion Exchange. The Legion interface has 3 other functions. Needless to say, this Legion Daily records some big and small things in the Legion. For example, how many resources a member handed in at what time, when a certain member left the Legion and joined, and even when members died in battle, they would all be recorded on it. As for the second function, Legion Resources, it is equivalent to the Legion Warehouse interface. It displays most of the basic resources in Yao Yiming's territory, including food, coal, iron, etc. Other newly joined survivors will also be displayed on it after handing in resources, and will be recorded in the daily report. This presents a resource transparency. Only deputy leaders are qualified to use the resources here. Of course, if they take out resources, they will also be recorded in the daily report. If some survivors are unwilling to hand in their resources, and put them in their backpacks, the daily report will not record them. Chao Xing took a quick look and found that Yao Yiming's territory was relatively poor in resources. There were only more than 3,000 units of food left, which was more than 600 kilograms. Coal and iron, etc., only had a few thousand units. Obviously, these resources would not last long. In addition, when the Legion began to recruit people, more people would pour in, and the food would be eaten up in a few days. Chao Xing sighed, but it doesn't matter. When we recruit people later, the survivors will also hand over some of their resources. In this way, the foundation of this Legion will increase rapidly. At the same time, the increase in staff will also accelerate the development of the territory, and more advanced buildings can be built, thus achieving a virtuous cycle. Next, it is the last function, Legion Prop Exchange. Chao Xing is very interested in this function. After all, there are some rare drawings that can be exchanged. I clicked it and took a look. Legion Item Exchange Interface. Light Snowmobile Construction Blueprint. Exchange requires Legion Level 1, 1,000 reputation points. Crowns * 100,000. Limited to 1 exchange. Cannot be traded. Soldier Standard Plate Armor Blueprint. White Exchange requires Legion Level 1, 1,000 reputation points. crowns asterisk 200,000, limited to 1 exchange, cannot be traded. Intermediate Transport Vehicle Production Blueprint, exchange requires Legion Level 2, 5,000 reputation points, crowns asterisk 500,000, limited to 5 exchange, can be traded. Improved Standard Armor Blueprint, green exchange requires Legion Level 2, 5,000 reputation points, crowns asterisk 600,000, limited to 1 exchange, can be traded. Large Transport Vehicle Production Blueprint, blue exchange requires Legion Level 3, reputation points. To 10,000, crowns asterisk 1 million, limited exchange of 3, can be traded. Small Legion Teleportation Array Construction Blueprint, purple exchange requires Legion Level 4, reputation value 20,000, crowns asterisk 3 million, limited exchange, cannot be traded. Dark Blade Blueprint, orange exchange requires Legion Level 9, reputation value 1 million, crowns asterisk 100 million, limited exchange, cannot be traded. Large Legion Teleportation Array Construction Blueprint, orange exchange requires Legion Level 9, reputation value 1 million, crowns asterisk 120 million, sales exchange, cannot be traded. Meteorite Tower Production Blueprint, orange need Legion Level 10 to unlock. After reading a series of exchange lists, Chao Xing's face showed a deep shock. There are so many things that can be exchanged in this Legion exchange interface. From level 1 to level 10, each time the Legion's level is upgraded, more powerful blueprints can be unlocked. With sufficient resources, these blueprints can be used to batch build armor, weapons, vehicles, defense towers, etc. It can greatly improve the overall strength of the territory. Especially at the later levels 9 and 10, you can even exchange epic weapon blueprints and defense tower blueprints. In addition, there are even purple to orange teleportation array blueprints that can be exchanged, and the resources required are not many. However, this teleportation array is not like the one in Chao Xing's territory, which can be directly teleported to Yongshuang main city. It can only be used between legions. But there is one advantage. As long as the leader exchanges the blueprint, other sub-legions can unlock this building. For example, the legion bases of Chao Xing and Ji Xinyue are 200 kilometers apart. After she joined the Spark Legion, Chao Xing exchanged the blueprint, and she was able to build a teleportation array, and then travel between them at any time. There are so many things, Chao Xing said with emotion. Obviously, he wanted to exchange all these blueprints, but before that, he needed to upgrade the level of the Legion. Now, let's see how high I can upgrade the Legion. Thinking of this, Chao Xing clicked on his Legion page. Spark Legion. Level 1. Legion bonus. All members' basic attributes plus 1%. Critical hit rate plus 1%. Leader, Chao Xing. Deputy Leader. 0/2. Level 1 Legion can only have 2 deputy leaders at most, and 1 deputy leader will be added for every 3 levels. Number of members. 0/50. Level 1 Legion can recruit up to 50 survivors. Their subjects will not occupy the quota of members, but will occupy the territory population. Note, each survivor will also occupy 1 population. Please ensure that the territory population is sufficient. Prosperity. 389. After reading the Legion information above, Chao Xing's eyes once again showed a thoughtful look. A level 1 Legion can only recruit 50 survivors, and the people they bring with them will not take up the number of Legion members, but they will take up the territory population. This is a bit of a dead end. In this way, even if your Legion level is raised, if the territory level cannot keep up, you will not be able to recruit people and achieve rapid personnel expansion. In other words, the level of the Lord's Mansion and the Legion level need to go hand in hand. Looking at Yao Yiming's Lord's Mansion, it has now been upgraded to level 4, which is a long way behind Chao Xing's Lord's Castle. He scanned the population again. Population. 314/2009. In Yao Yiming's territory, the number of staff members is about 80, of which more than 200 are combatants. This is also the current situation of most of the survivor lords. They have 30 to 40 staff members and nearly 100 combatants. The population is quite sufficient, but it is far from enough to get other lords to bring their families with them. After all, a lord's population is at least 200 to 300, and recruiting a dozen lords will almost fill up the territory. But at this time, there is another way. That is the division of the Legion. Other lords can also join the Legion, and then continue to develop in their own territory. When they encounter a battle in the future, they can also fight together. Just like the proposal of Chao Xing and Ji Xinyue. In this way, it will not occupy the population of the Legion headquarters, but it will occupy the number of Legion members. It took a while for Chao Xing to almost understand the Legion mechanism. Next, it is to upgrade the Legion. The system prompt appears. Do you want to upgrade the Spark Legion to LV1? Upgrading to level 2 requires. Reputation value reaches 5,000, refined iron *10, 000, mithril *100, coins *100, 000. Yes. Chapter 552. Congratulations. Upgraded successfully. Your Legion has been successfully upgraded to level 2. The number of members has increased by 50, the basic attributes of the members have increased by 1% 3%, and the critical hit rate has increased by 1% 3%. The level 2 Legion has added 50 members, and the attribute increase has also increased slightly, which is still very good. Chao Xing continued to click on the upgrade. Do you want to upgrade the Spark Legion to LV2? Upgrading to level 3 requires. Reputation value reaches 10,000, refined iron *50, 000, mithril *5000, coins *500, 000. Yes. Congratulations. Upgraded successfully. Your Legion has been successfully upgraded to level 3, the number of members increased by 50, the number of deputy leaders increased by 1, the attribute improvement and critical hit rate increased from 3% to 5%. Not bad, there is one more deputy leader. Chao Xing continued to click to upgrade. Upgrading to level 4 requires 20,000 reputation points, 100,000 refined iron, 10,000 mithril, 1,000 expert element crystals, 2 million coins. Yes. Congratulations. Upgraded successfully. Level 4 legions are already the highest level legions in the 4 major regions, and there are only 3 of them in total. The leaders of these legions are also familiar names. Bai Ji, Wei Jiani and others have been developing for so long, and finally upgraded their legions to level 4. And now, Chao Xing has achieved it in a few seconds. Of course, Chao Xing can be regarded as accumulating strength for a long time. The large amount of reputation and resources accumulated in the early stage played a role at this moment. And this is still not his limit. Chao Xing continued to click on the upgrade. Upgrading to level 5 requires 50,000 reputation points, 200,000 refined iron, 20,000 mithril, 2,000 expert element crystals, per million coins. Yes. Congratulations. Upgrade successful. Upgrading to level 6 requires 100,000 reputation points, 300,000 refined iron, 30,000 mithril, 1,000 master element crystals, 8 million coins. My goodness, the amount of materials required is a bit scary. At the level 6 Legion, even Chao Xing was almost at his limit. But fortunately, my reputation is enough. I just lack refined iron and mithril. So, Chao Xing went to the market in Yao Yiming's territory, and quickly consigned a batch of saber-toothed tiger meat. At the price of 1 piece of saber-toothed tiger meat equals 50 refined iron, he consumed 600 pieces of tiger meat, 1 piece equals 10 pieces, and exchanged for 300,000 refined iron in a short period of time. Then, he clicked the upgrade again. Congratulations, upgraded successfully. Your Legion has been successfully upgraded to level 6, the number of members has increased by 100, the number of deputy leaders has increased by 1, and the attribute and critical hit rate have increased from 9% to 11%. Not bad, it has been upgraded directly to level 6. This level is enough to support the development for the next period of time. Chao Xing took a look and found that the 7th level Legion required a full 200,000 reputation points, which was far from enough for him. However, the 6th level Legion was completely enough, with a full 400 members and 4 deputy leaders. At the same time, there was an 11% attribute bonus, which was a huge improvement. The attributes of Chao Xing and Lu Muxua also increased. In addition, after the 6th level Legion was unlocked, there were 3 golden drawings that could be exchanged, just when Chao Xing was about to open the exchange interface. The system prompt appeared. Attention! Because you are the first lord in the server to upgrade the Legion to level 6, you will receive a special reward. Reputation value *30, 000, random Legion treasure box *1. Chao Xing was stunned for a moment, and then a look of surprise appeared on his face. Haha, there are rewards for this. I actually gave you 30,000 reputation points, which is really good. His reputation value soared to 150,000. Chao Xing said happily, now I can exchange for those 3 drawings. So, he directly opened the Legion exchange interface, and then clicked on exchange. Do you want to consume reputation value *10, 000, crowns *10 million, in exchange for the blueprint of the medium-sized Legion teleportation array. Do you want to consume reputation value *10,000, crowns *11 million, in exchange for the blueprint of the advanced mining robot? Do you want to consume reputation value *10,000, crowns *13 million, in exchange for the blueprint of the divine guardian sword gold? It is worth mentioning that upgrading the Legion requires a certain amount of reputation value, but it does not consume your reputation value. When you exchange these blueprints, your reputation will be deducted. Of course, the deputy leader also has the authority to exchange. When the reputation is insufficient, you can ask them to help exchange. Chao Xing sighed. 3 blueprints not only cost me 30,000 reputation points, but also tens of millions of crowns. It's really expensive. But generally speaking, these blueprints are very good. Needless to say, the teleportation array and mining robot are both relatively important blueprints. That weapon blueprint is of gold quality, and it is a sword. Most of the combatants in the territory can use it. Chao Xing directly clicked on the exchange. His reputation value dropped from 150,000 to 120,000 in an instant, and the chronor in his backpack also decreased by more than 30 million. At this moment, a system message appeared. Ding! You have completed the transaction. Diamond membership card has taken effect, and this time you will return coins *6.8 million. Chao Xing was stunned at first, and then a smile appeared on his face. I didn't expect that this could return coins. This diamond membership card is really effective. With a happy mood, I looked at the properties of the 3 new blueprints. Large mining robot production blueprint. Blueprint introduction. You can make a large robot in the mechanical factory, which can greatly increase your mining efficiency. Level 50, level 5 elite creature. Robot height, 7.23 meters. Durability, 100,000. Equipped parts, large bucket, large drill. Consumption, 30 hours of low energy state /1 primary magic crystal. High energy state 1 time /1 magic crystal. Production requirements, advanced mechanical factory, 20,000 refined iron, 5,000 copper, 500 mithril, 200 expert element crystals. Not bad, this mining robot is so big, it must be very efficient. Put it in the backpack and check the next blueprint. God Guardian Sword Blueprint Gold. Blueprint level 50. Blueprint description. You can use this blueprint to mass-produce God Guardian swords in the territory. Forging requirements, expert blacksmith shop, expert forging mastery, 500 refined iron, 100 mithril, 30 magic pattern stones, 50 expert element crystals. Very good, not many materials are needed to make this weapon. In this way, all the soldiers can use golden weapons. Chao Xing thought happily. As for the blueprint of the Legion teleportation array, there is no need to look at it, the effect is almost the same. It's just that the number of people that can be teleported at the same time is much less than the large teleportation array in the territory. Next, there is another reward. The random Legion treasure box just rewarded by the system. Take this black treasure box out of the backpack and put it on the ground. Found an unlocked Legion treasure box *1. Do you want to open it? Yes. Opened successfully. Obtain the Legion treasure, drum of excitement gold. There is only one thing in the treasure chest. A large drum with an ancient color and a strange shape. I looked at the attributes. Drum of excitement gold. Quality, rare. Item description. Beat the drum of excitement in battle, and all Legion members within 2,000 meters will gain 30% stiffness and 30% movement speed. Required, drummer 0/1. Oh, does beating the drum increase the stiffness and movement speed of the whole group? Very interesting. Chao Xing looked at the big drum in his backpack, which was almost 1 meter in diameter, and a smile appeared on his face. Now, he has the war horn and the drum of encouragement in his backpack, and he can fight a battle in a proper manner. He put it in his backpack with satisfaction. This time, the things to be dealt with in the creation of the Legion have been almost dealt with. In the current Legion rankings, the Spark Legion has opened up a large gap with other legions by a huge gap of 2 levels. Many survivors also noticed the changes in the Legion rankings. After all, this sudden appearance of the level 6 Legion is too eye-catching, not to mention the 4 major regions. There are not many level 5 legions in the entire server. And now, Chao Xing has once again broken the upper limit of the entire server and directly raised it to the level 6 Legion. Brothers, have you seen the name on the Legion rankings? Yes, it's a level 6 Legion. It's too outrageous. Other legions have developed for so long and have only reached level 4, but when Chao Xing came, it soared to level 6. Yes, I can only say that he is worthy of being the number one in the 4 regions. If he had created the Legion earlier, it would have soared to level 7 by now. By the way, Boss Chao Xing has already created the Legion. When will he start recruiting people? I can't wait to join. Yes, I'm waiting to join too. Let me join first. I'm a level 45 Polar Warrior, and I have 5 level 5 Shield Guards under me. I can't resist monsters one by one. I'm a level 5 Frost Mage, and I have a 10-man level 4 Thunder Mage Legion under me. The output capacity is very strong. I want to join. The survivors were enthusiastic and eager to join Chao Xing's army. Various private chats once again filled up his private chat bar. Chao Xing also saw the grand occasion of the chat channel, and then sent a message. Everyone, as you can see, the Spark Army has been created and is now entering the recruitment stage. However, the population of this territory is only 2,000, and it cannot accommodate too many people. The Legion headquarters will recruit some elite personnel, and the strength requirement for the Lord is to reach the 5th level at least. You can take your combatants to the Legion headquarters for a strength assessment. The Legion coordinates are 64623, 2517, 1196. As for those who are not recruited into the Legion headquarters, don't worry. If your strength meets the requirements, you can also choose to join my Legion. The 11% attribute improvement of the level 6 Legion is quite good. After Chao Xing finished speaking, the survivors in the 4 major districts became excited. Oh my god, the level 6 Legion actually has an 11% attribute improvement, while my level 3 Legion only has 5%. The 6% overall improvement is already quite powerful. This new base seems a bit far from me. I have to start my journey immediately. Ha ha ha, I'm near the base of Chao Xing's Legion, woohoo, in half an hour. Everyone was enthusiastic, and many people who were interested took action. The next step was to wait for the survivors to come over, and then conduct a strength review. Chao Xing first contacted Ji Xinhua, and merged the Star Moon Legion into the Spark Legion. Then, he gave Tianjing, Yao Yiming, and Ji Xinhua a deputy leader position each. Now, there is only one deputy leader left. All survivors who join the Legion will automatically enter the chat channel of the Spark Legion, and only members of the Legion can speak in it. The survivors of the original Star Moon Legion were extremely excited at this moment, and greeted Chao Xing in the Legion channel. Chao Xing also responded with a smile. After arranging these new members, he turned his head, and looked at Tianjing and Yao Yiming. He told them, "Next, the task of assessing the strength of the new members will be handed over to you too. When assessing, we can't just look at their overall strength, but also investigate the person's reputation. If they have ever harmed other survivors, or their character is not up to standard, don't add them in." The two of them straightened their faces, and said seriously, "Understood, Legion Commander." Chao Xing nodded slightly, and continued to give instructions. "Next, I probably won't come here often. You can contact me if you have anything. After recruiting people, you will start to upgrade the Lord's Mansion and Furnace to increase the population of the territory. If you are short of resources, I will provide you with several large resource points. By then, your staff should be saturated, and you can allocate some staff to mine." Yao Yiming said solemnly, "Yes, Commander." After giving these instructions, Chao Xing looked at the sky. It was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was almost evening. "It's getting late. Let's go back to the territory first. Tianjing, you will stay in this territory from now on, and let them arrange a place for you to stay. The Lord's Mansion belongs to them. You are not allowed to occupy it, understand?" Tianjing immediately replied, "No problem, boss. I can sleep as long as I have a quilt, even if I sleep in the toilet." Yao Yiming next to him said embarrassedly, "That's not so miserable. There are still vacant rooms in our territory. But maybe it's not as comfortable as Chao Xing's territory." Everyone smiled. Soon, Tianjing became familiar with Yao Yiming. And Chao Xing and Lu Muxue jumped back on the griffin's back and headed towards the territory. The griffin flew at a low altitude of about 1,000 meters, and the surrounding scene passed by quickly. After a while, Chao Xing saw the outline of his territory. And just when they advanced about 3 or 4 kilometers, and were about to return to the territory, Chao Xing seemed to notice something. He looked down. There was a newly rejuvenated grove not far ahead, and at the edge of the grove stood a black shadow. He seemed to have been waiting here for a long time, raised his head, and stared at Chao Xing with a pair of sharp eyes. After seeing the man's attire, Chao Xing's expression suddenly changed slightly, and a strange look appeared in his eyes. "It's him. This guy dared to come here alone. Isn't he afraid that I will kill him?" At this moment, the figure was still staring straight into the air, as if he had something to say to Chao Xing. After thinking for a while, Chao Xing decided to meet the people below. He looked at Lu Muxue beside him, and said, "Muxue, wait for me here, I'll be back soon." Although the beauty beside him didn't know what happened, she nodded gently. Then she watched Chao Xing descend quickly, and in the blink of an eye he entered the woods directly. A few minutes later, Chao Xing frowned and flew up with a sad face. Lu Muxue noticed the change in his expression and asked softly, "Axing, what happened?" Chao Xing shook his head, took a deep breath, and said, "It's okay, Muxue, let's go back to the territory first." Seeing him like this, Lu Muxue instinctively realized that Chao Xing might have encountered something in the woods. But he didn't want to say more, so he didn't ask more. Okay. Soon, the two continued to ride the griffin back to the territory. As soon as they jumped off the griffin's back, a polar man quickly came to them. It was Duan. He saluted respectfully. "Lord, Lady Lord, I wish you good health." Chao Xing asked, "Duan, what's up?" The polar man replied, "Yes, Lord, according to your instructions, we have built 10 new blacksmith shops, and each blacksmith shop has built about 20 more forging tables. Do you think this number is enough?" Chao Xing calculated in his mind. This time, more than 100 blacksmiths were added. So many forging tables are more than enough. He nodded in appreciation, and then said, "Not bad, it's almost enough. Next, you should upgrade these blacksmith shops to the expert level. But it's dark now. Don't work at night, go back and rest." "Yes, Lord." Polar man Duan respectfully took his leave. Chao Xing looked at Lu Muxue next to him, and then said, "Muxue, you should go back to the castle and rest first. I will call you if there is anything." The female knight did not speak, but looked at him, as if she wanted to say something but stopped. Chao Xing naturally saw that she was worried about him. She chuckled and said, "Don't worry, I'm fine. I tell you later." A bright smile suddenly appeared on Lu Muxue's pretty face, and then she whispered, "Okay, Ah Xing. No matter what you encounter, or what difficulties you have, you can tell me, I will share it with you. Even if you give up everything." There was a firmness in her eyes. Chao Xing touched her head. "Okay, I understand, you go first." With Chao Xing watching, the beauty gradually walked towards the center of the territory. Then, Chao Xing called Zierda again. Swish, swish. A crawling sound appeared, and Zierda's cold voice rang in my ears. "Tsk, is there anything you want to ask of me?" Chao Xing glanced at her. "Zierda, come with me to the basement and hatch all those corpses into elite or leader level blood spiders first. This time, they killed so many people from the Church of Light, but they harvested a lot of corpses. All of these can be transformed into combat power. Since you are so sincere in asking me, I will accept it with reluctance." The Blood Spider Queen responded arrogantly. Chao Xing glanced at her speechlessly. Then, he brought Zierda to the basement. As soon as he entered, he saw a large number of corpses piled up below. From ordinary members of the Church of Light, elite members, to red-robed priests. So many corpses piled together, it even looks a bit creepy. Chao Xing looked at the Blood Spider Queen and said, "Okay, let's start now." Zierda licked her lips, and a strange smile appeared on her face. "Even in my previous life, I have never hatched so many corpses of powerful people at one time. This is a good experience." Chapter 553. After saying that, Zierda made a move. A large amount of royal blood condensed and fell on the bodies. Then Chao Xing saw that the skin of the dead bodies began to wriggle. Hiss, hiss. In the blink of an eye, a large number of blood spiders emerged from the corpses and began to devour them. The sound of gnawing continued. Soon, all the corpses below level 70 were devoured. In front of Chao Xing, there were at least 300 elite blood spiders, dozens of leader-level blood spiders, and 5 leader-level blood spiders. The levels ranged from 40 to 60, which was a pretty good fighting force. It is worth mentioning that the blood spiders hatched by Zierda with royal blood would have their potential reduced by 1 level. But those hatched from large beasts would not. This was related to the strength of the corpse. Although the human race was very flexible and coordinated, it did not have any advantages compared to the physical strength of those beasts. Zierda crossed her arms and said proudly, "This queen has hatched." She turned her head slightly and looked at Chao Xing from the corner of her eyes, as if waiting for his praise. But Chao Xing said lightly, "Okay, you go back now." Hearing this, the Blood Spider Queen showed a little disappointment in her eyes. But soon, she returned to normal. The two walked out of the basement together. Just when Zierda was about to leave here, she suddenly turned around and asked, "Have you run into any trouble? Or are you worried about something?" Chao Xing was slightly stunned, and knew that his reaction looked a little strange to these people. He smiled and shook his head. "Are you concerned about me?" Hearing this, Zierda said lightly, "TSK, this queen is not concerned about you. I'm just afraid that you've been hit." Chaoxing smiled. "I see. I'm fine, don't worry." "Is that so? Then the queen knows." After saying that, Zierda turned around and left here freely. After she left, Chaoxing still frowned, wondering what he was thinking about. Time gradually came to around 6 o'clock in the evening. A large number of combatants returned to the territory and brought good news to Chaoxing. Boji and Xiao excitedly reported, "Lord, your method is too efficient. The number of ice nests we destroyed this afternoon even exceeded the number in the past 3 or 4 days. Everyone's strength has been greatly improved, and we have also obtained many recruitment scrolls." After hearing this, Chaoxing's face, which was full of clouds, also showed a smile. He looked at the gold points. Gold points *1148. After exchanging the recruitment scroll of the priestess Vanas, his gold points were only 128 points. The second round of Monster Siege gave a total of 900 gold points, which is about 1,000. After that, he basically didn't go out much, so the gold points have not increased much. That is to say, they have earned 128 gold points in just half a day today. If it is a whole day, it will be at least 200. At this rate, there is still more than half a month before the next wave of monsters attack the city, which is enough to exchange for the master-level recruitment scroll. Chaoxing praised, "Your performance is very good. Let's go eat first and then rest. Keep working hard tomorrow." Speaking of this, Chaoxing's heart was once again filled with a feeling of worry. He sighed in his heart. The premise is, everyone can live until tomorrow. Of course, he didn't say this. Yes. Boji, Xiao and others left here quickly with their respective legions. Then they went to the cafeteria to have dinner, and returned to their rooms to rest. Including Chaoxing, they also returned to the Lord's castle. It was dark inside, without any light. In these 2 hours, no one knew what happened. It was not until 9 o'clock in the evening that the lights inside the castle gradually lit up. Creaky. With the sound of the door being pushed open, Chaoxing suddenly pushed open the door of the Lord's castle. But compared to the sad face when he entered, a smile appeared on his face. He first went to the mage tower and meditated. Then he strolled alone in the territory. After wandering around for about 5 minutes, Chaoxing said to himself, "Next, let's go and see how those light-feathered chickens are growing." As he walked, he came to the buffer zone of the territory. This place is quite open, with no buildings or shelters around. At this moment, there was a slight sound of wind in the air. Like the night wind, it was not noticeable at all. Even Chaoxing did not notice it at all and continued to walk forward. At this moment, a moving shadow entered the territory silently. The shadow was extremely fast, and arrived at the buffer zone of the territory in an instant. Moreover, the shadow rushed straight forward, and its target was Chaoxing. He has an extremely strong ability to hide. Even if you stand in front of him, you won't notice it. In the shadow, a dark short knife appeared, emitting a cold light in the dark night. Just when he was about to attack Chaoxing, a cold figure suddenly appeared in front of him. It was the dragon speaker Bing-On. The 10th level aura on her body was clearly visible, which also made the figure in the dark slightly stop the action in her hand. She came to Chaoxing and said indifferently, "I want to leave the territory." Chaoxing asked with a puzzled look on his face, "Why?" "I plan to continue to seek revenge on the Watchers, and kill the heroes in this organization. I only killed 2 last time, but I still can't vet my hatred." The dragon speaker's face was filled with murderous intent. Hearing this, the figure in the dark trembled slightly with his right hand, and a cold light gradually appeared in his eyes when he looked at the dragon speaker, and a hint of murderous intent could not help but emanate from his body. And it was this hint of murderous intent that made the dragon speaker seem to notice something. She frowned and looked behind Chaoxing. After observing for a while, she found nothing. Chaoxing still had a puzzled look on his face at this time. "Bing-On, is there anything wrong?" The dragon speaker did not speak, and a glowing long sword suddenly appeared in his hand, sweeping directly behind Chaoxing. Shwa! A touch of shocking sword energy appeared. At this moment, the black shadows seemed to realize that he had been discovered. But there was no panic on his face. Facing the attack of the dragon speaker, he just waved the blade in his hand casually. The short knife and the sword energy collided instantly, making a crisp sound of ding, which directly annihilated the sword energy of the dragon speaker. However, at the moment he launched the attack, the aura on his body leaked. A terrifying wave instantly spread and covered the entire territory. At this moment, the dragon speaker's face changed drastically. Damn it! This is a legendary assassin. Seraphis, quickly remind everyone. Roar! Seraphis' roar instantly resounded over a dozen kilometers around, including Tianjing, who was far away in Yao Yiming's territory and heard this terrifying dragon roar. All the strong men in the entire territory were startled and rushed out of the room. At this moment, Chao Xing looked behind him with a look of horror. A dark aura gradually appeared there. It was like the thickest ink mass in the dark night, silently condensing, twisting, and gradually manifesting into a human figure. He was wearing a black robe, like the abyss of the dark night, with a hood hanging down, covering most of his face, revealing only a pair of eyes emitting blood-red light. With a hint of teasing at the corner of his mouth, he looked at Chao Xing and the dragon speaker. Were you discovered? But the ending is still the same. This territory will be destroyed today. Chao Xing asked with a horrified face. Damn it, who are you? How did you get into the territory? Hearing his question, the other party smiled playfully again. This is the weak lord of another world, who simply cannot understand the power of my level, so let me end your miserable life. After saying this person appeared behind Chao Xing again, like a flowing shadow. The speed was so fast that it was beyond everyone's imagination. Even a dragon speaker who had reached level 97 could not catch the tricks of this strong man. In the darkness, a cold light flashed. Like the judgment of the god of death, it had a terrifying killing power, and even cut a crack in the city wall hundreds of meters away. This knife seemed to split Chao Xing in half. Sarah, who had already rushed out of the room, had an anxious look in her eyes. She directly used the shadow teleport on the dagger and moved hundreds of meters in an instant. However, no matter how fast she was, she couldn't be faster than a legendary creature. And what was even more terrifying was that this legendary assassin seemed to know Chao Xing and the others very well, and knew that they had some special defensive means that could block multiple attacks. In an instant, he attacked more than a dozen times. In the horrified eyes of the crowd, the dagger with a cold light had already fallen on Chao Xing. In the territory, the strong men looked at the scene in horror and shouted, Damn it! Don't attack the Lord! Stop it! Axing! Swish! The dagger cut through everything and landed directly on Chao Xing. The next moment, Chao Xing's figure was cut into pieces on the spot. However, it didn't look like a picture of a human body being broken, but more like a flowing mist being cut into pieces. At this moment, everyone on the field fell into a state of confusion, including the legendary assassin. He murmured, Failed? How is this possible? At the same time, at the edge of the territory, the door of a blacksmith shop opened. A figure wearing a robe and holding a staff walked out. It was Chao Xing. He had an interested smile on his face. Damn, luckily I was prepared. A legendary strongman, you come to assassinate a 7th level mage like me, you are so shameless. At this moment, the legendary creature stared at Chao Xing with an incredible look on his face. He asked in surprise, Did you know I would come to assassinate you? At this moment, he understood something instantly, and a trace of anger appeared in his pupils. Damn it! You and this woman are acting here just to attract my attack? Chao Xing smiled but said nothing. The dragon speaker's expression was still indifferent, but his eyes were full of fighting spirit when he looked at this legendary assassin. After all, this is a legend. Now that she is about to reach the limit of a hero, she also wants to try how terrifying this level of strongman is, and this legendary assassin looked at Chao Xing with a gloomy face. So that's how it is. It seems I've been discovered a long time ago. In fact, Chao Xing didn't find this legendary assassin. Time goes back to 5 hours ago. On his way back to his own territory from Yao Yiming's territory, Chao Xing noticed a figure in the grove. The other person's outfit made him feel familiar, and it seemed that the other person had been waiting for him here for a long time. So Chao Xing entered the grove. After the figure saw him coming down, he took him to the depths of the woods. Soon he stopped. Chao Xing asked, Are you okay? The figure did not turn around, but said in a hoarse voice, Tonight, a legendary creature will come to kill you, be careful. Hearing this news, Chao Xing frowned instantly. Although he was somewhat skeptical about the authenticity of this person's words, he was more inclined to believe that what the other party said was true, because he had seen this person before. It was the Watcher who fought with him in the main city of Yongchuan a few days ago, the one holding a spear and extremely powerful. Chao Xing continued to ask, Is it the legend of your Watchers? The man nodded slightly, and then said, You and the old king destroyed the Church of Light, and now the Watchers are wary of you. They decided to destroy you before the Blood Legion arrives. Don't count on the old king, he can't help you. During the assassination, two legends will attack Yongshuang main city at the same time. You need to find a way to deal with the assassination of the legend level strong as soon as possible. I can't stay here for too long, you take care of yourself? After quickly explaining everything, he was about to walk forward. At this moment, Chao Xing called him. Wait a minute. Then he said, you look like a friend of mine. Is it you? Hearing this, the figure paused, and his shoulders trembled slightly. However, the other party did not answer, but left here directly. Chao Xing looked at the other party's back, and a thoughtful look appeared on his face. After some thought, he finally chose to believe what this person said. Tonight, a legend will come and assassinate him. However, although he knew this news, but Chao Xing was still very uneasy. After all, before this, he had never confronted a legendary strongman head-on. Even when fighting against the god servant Core and the second form of the Valkyrie, he directly dispatched the Lizardman statue to kill them in seconds. What's more troublesome is that the enemy is an assassin. Now Chao Xing is in the open, and he is in the dark. And the old king will have two legends attacking Yongshuang's main city at the same time as the assassination begins. In other words, his biggest backer seems to be unreliable, even if he can take the core members of the territory and use the teleportation array to escape to the palace, leaving this legendary strongman empty-handed. But what about the other people in the territory, and what about his territory? You can't just give up to avoid this assassination, right? So, after returning to the territory, Chao Xing has been frowning. After all, he is a legend, and he is an existence that is proficient in assassination. From the previous battle between the old king and the legend of the Watcher, we can see how terrible this level of existence is. If the other party wants to kill someone, even if you are well prepared in advance, it will be useless. So, Chao Xing has been thinking hard about how to deal with this level of enemy. So there is the next scene. This figure of Chao Xing was created by him using Vision Pearl Purple. This purple grade prop played an unexpected role at this moment. Not only did it block an attack for Chao Xing, but it also exposed the figure of this legend. And in order to prevent this legendary assassin from noticing that this was an illusion, he also specially found a dragon speaker to help act. So far, it seems that the plan is going very smoothly. At the same time, this legendary watcher looked around, and one powerful person after another gradually approached him. Seeing this scene, he still had contempt on his face, looking at the people who surrounded him, as if looking at a group of ants. Heh, so what if I'm discovered? To deal with ants like you, I can kill you all without assassination. Chao Xing said with a smile on his face. Really? I'd like to learn how powerful the so-called legends are. However, legends like you should be the weakest among them, right? You can't even assassinate a 7th level mage like me, so your combat power is just like that. Faced with Chao Xing's deliberate provocation, this legendary assassin remained unmoved. He chuckled and said, how can a mortal like you understand the power of a legend? Even if you hide behind those people, it would be as easy for me to kill you as taking something out of a bag. Chao Xing replied, really? I'd like to learn how you take my head. The assassin had a strange smile on his face, he knows soon. After he finished speaking, he moved, like a flash of lightning. It was extremely fast, and he attacked Chao Xing at a very fast speed. As he said, the legendary masters are very powerful. Even if he gave up hiding and fighting head-on, no one in Chao Xing's territory could be his opponent. At this speed, even Marlene Nina couldn't react. However, Chao Xing was still not afraid. Through the battle at the border, he had already figured out the horror of these legendary masters. At least more than 1 million attack power, plus their terrifying attack speed, and powerful combat skills. Even a hero-level master would be killed instantly. But this does not mean that there is no one in Chao Xing's territory who can withstand the legendary attack. At this time, Braun's body grew rapidly, and then roared. Come here! The legendary assassin steps towards Chao Xing stopped instantly, and then he rushed towards Braun involuntarily. Chapter 554. This legendary assassin was forced to taunt by Braun. After the initial shock, his rich combat experience allowed him to react quickly. Forced attack? You are quite capable. But it won't work on me. If you were a legendary shield guard, I would turn around and leave immediately. But you are just a 7th level ant. I can kill you in a few tenths of a second. In an instant, he turned into a shadow and rushed towards Braun, ready to kill him instantly before dealing with Chao Xing. The shadow flashed like lightning. In just a moment, it was behind Braun. This speed of movement has completely crushed Sarah, who has a 130% increase in movement speed. The dagger in his hand had a series of double images and fell instantly. Crack, crack. The 3 layers of holy shield on Braun's body were instantly shattered. Then, A large amount of damage exceeding 1 million appeared on his head. -152-6717. -169-1244. -174-2445. -186-2563. -193-4523. In this second, this person slashed 8 times. The first 3 slashes broke the shield, and the last 5 slashes caused more than 9 million damage. This was still slashed on Brown, who had the highest defense. If it were anyone else, even a hero-level creature, they would have been killed instantly, but fortunately, Brown now has a health value of over 10 million, plus the shield on the Shield of Origin, which is 20 million health points. Seeing this scene, Chaoxing's face suddenly showed a smile. As I expected, Brahm's health can withstand this guy's attack for a short time. As long as he is not killed on the spot, there is still a fight. So he looked and quickly ordered, all ranged, focus all your fire. Although he can now directly use the Lizardman statue to kill this guy instantly. But this is within his own territory. On the Lizardman statue, the range of any skill is too large. He could easily destroy his territory. So Chaoxing had to find a suitable opportunity, preferably to drive this guy out of the territory. Moreover, there was a more important reason. That was that he wanted to see if he could deal with a legend by using all the strength in his territory. After all, a legendary strongman was alone and surrounded by the fighters of their entire territory. This opportunity can be said to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It was the time to test the strength of all the fighters in the territory. Hearing Chaoxing's attack order, dense arrow towers, ancient wind trees, ancient war trees, nightmare archers, and other long-range attacks arrived in an instant. Hua la la. A large number of arrows fell like a rain curtain, and before these attacks got close, they were offset by a special force on the opponent's body and disappeared directly into thin air. Seeing this scene, everyone on the field showed shock in their eyes. Is this the power of the legendary level? This method seems to be similar to the effect of Super Limit Rune. When the attack power does not reach a certain level, it cannot cause any damage at all. In other words, it seems unrealistic to use the tactic of ants biting elephants to kill a legend. The Legend of the Watcher had a mocking smile on his face. You actually want to use a group of ants to deal with me? What a wishful thinking. He was about to continue to attack and kill Brown in seconds. But Chaoxing raised his staff directly. Hua la la. A wall of ice rose up, separating him and Brown directly. However, these ice walls were chopped up by the opponent the moment they appeared. The sword energy that burst out continued to chop Brown, causing hundreds of thousands of damages. But it seems that the ice wall has some effect. At least it reduces a lot of damage. In addition, Chaoxing is now in a no-CD state. I will summon as many as you chop. Bang, bang, bang. He summoned a wall of ice, blocking this guy's attack while using other magic to attack the opponent. Including other core combatants on the field, they are also looking for the right opportunity to output. At the same time, Chaoxing threw out a big ice ball instantly. Bang! This attack landed on the opponent, hitting him solidly. -10,525. His attack finally caused damage. But it was only a little over 10,000. You know, in normal times, any of his critical hits would cause more than 100,000 damage. But now, it has been reduced to less than 1/10. Legendary creatures, even assassination-type legends that are not good at defense, have amazing defense capabilities. At the same time, the attacks of other strongmen have also arrived. Isabel's Holy Light Ball, the sword energy of the Dragon Speaker and Marlenina, and Sarah's Slash. They caused damage numbers on him one by one. On the other side, the Blood Spider Queen Hilda waved her hand, and a large number of blood spiders flooded over, and then exploded in an instant. Puff, puff! Even as powerful as a legendary strongman, a large amount of blood poison was added to his body, and negative damage appeared one after another. -115,340. -115340. After Hilda's blood poison reached 100 layers, it was easy to cause 300,000 or 400,000 damage per second. However, now, it has been reduced to only about 1/3. After being attacked repeatedly, this legendary assassin glanced at the people who were besieging him. Although your attack power is strong enough, you are just a bigger ant. After saying this, the breath of this legendary strongman was lifted. Boom! A terrifying breath burst out, even squeezing the air to make bursts of explosions. All melee fighters were forced back hundreds of meters by his impact. And what's more terrifying is that all the negative states of this legendary assassin disappeared in an instant, and the heads of the surrounding self-explosive blood spiders all showed huge damage of 500,000 or 600,000. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of explosions continued. In this wave of explosions, Zierda lost at least 20,000 self-destructing blood spiders. Chao Xing saw a look of pain in his eyes. The legendary assassin chuckled. Do you realize how insignificant you are? But this is just the beginning. Next, I will be serious. As soon as he finished speaking, he held the two knives in his hands and threw them forward. A large number of rotating blades appeared around his body in an instant. These blades contained extremely terrifying lethality. As soon as Chao Xing's ice wall was summoned, it was cut into powder in an instant. Even when the elite blood spiders approached, damage numbers of over 1 million appeared above their heads, and they were cut into pieces. System prompts appeared one after another. Your territory creatures. Thick-armored blood spider LV-45 has been killed. Your territory creatures. Power demon blood spider LV-50 has been killed. In the blink of an eye, more than a dozen elite blood spiders were lost. This scene made everyone on the field frown. The skills released by this legendary assassin can be said to have directly destroyed those close combat personnel. After repelling everyone, the assassin continued to prepare to attack Brown. The short knife in his hand chopped down like lightning, according to the strength of the opponent's attack, coupled with the rotating knife energy on his body. Even a strong man like Brown would be killed in a short time. However, the big guy Brown did not seem to panic. At the same time, his shoulders began to wriggle, and a pair of big hands appeared in the blink of an eye. One of the hands was holding a piece of crystal-like scale. At the critical moment, he used this scale to block the attack of the blade. Ding! Ding ding ding! A series of crisp sounds appeared, and a large number of damage numbers appeared above Brahm's head. -310,562. -329,642. -346,218. Compared to the millions of damage before, the lethality is greatly reduced now. This shield is the scales of the Yorma dragon, which can reduce 80% of the physical damage of legendary creatures. Even if the opponent can slash 5 or 6 times a second, Brown can still hold him back for a few seconds. Seeing Brown blocking his attack again, Chao Xing's mocking voice rang out again. Didn't you say that you could kill him in 1 second, and then come and kill me? Why are you still struggling with my shield guard after so long? It doesn't seem to work. After hearing this, the legendary watcher also showed a hint of anger in his eyes. He was a legendary strongman, but he didn't kill a 7th level creature after so long. This was simply a shame for him. Very good, since you want to die so badly, I will kill you altogether. Heroic secret technique, Dark Soul Absolute Shadow Slash. He slightly raised the dagger in his hand, which seemed to have accumulated an extremely terrifying power, and in an instant, he slashed towards Brown, before the knife fell. A 5 or 6 kilometer crack appeared in the territory ahead, directly cutting the ground, including the city wall in the distance, which was also directly cut into a crack. Chao Xing had a hunch that even Brown would be severely injured by this knife, and might be beaten back to life. At this moment, Lu Muxua raised her hand, and a beam of aurora power fell. 3 layers of holy shields were refreshed from Brown. Swish. Crack. This extremely powerful attack did not cause any damage to Brown. After the attack, the legendary watcher quickly adjusted his body shape. He looked at Lu Muxua with disbelief. This is his heroic combat skill, and the burst speed is extremely fast. He can accumulate enough power almost instantly, and then kill the enemy. As a result, the opponent seemed to be well prepared and directly used the holy shield to offset his attack. Up to now, he has seen that there are too many capable people in the territory of this alien lord, and some weird methods are really endless. He looked at Chao Xing deeply. The leader is right. You are too harmful. You must be eliminated as soon as possible. Otherwise, when you grow up in the future, the harm will be endless. After speaking, he attacked Brown more frantically, ready to kill him in a short time. But Chao Xing didn't care about that. While the legendary assassin was briefly held back by Brown, he quickly ordered, use group attack, kill him. After hearing the order, various large-scale skills were thrown over. Ice Blossom, Ice Tornado Storm, Iceberg Fall, at the same time. Everyone released various terrifying group attack magic. Of course, after all, this is his territory. Existences of the level of Dragon Speaker and Marlenina can cover most of the territory with just one knife. If a large number of buildings are destroyed, Chao Xing will be heartbroken. They also try their best to control the sword energy within a certain range to cause continuous damage to it. In addition to the continuous bombing of the crowd, some powerful creatures in the territory also rushed out and launched attacks. The light feathered chicken flew in the air, constantly shooting out pieces of pure white wings to attack the Watcher. Dubai and Volibear also summoned elephants and thunder to bombard it. Of course, the most powerful is the attack of the dragon Seraphis and the frost moose Xiaolin. The two ice-attributed creatures simultaneously exhaled thrust. Crash! The strong cold air exploded, completely freezing the ground in that area into ice, and even the enemy's body was covered with a layer of white frost. This assassin has now suffered countless levels of control, and even though he is a legendary creature, he finds it extremely difficult to move. Then, Chaoxing started the cold winter again, and the temperature dropped sharply again, with the persistent exhalation of the dragon Seraphis and the frost moose. The ice layer on the body of this legendary watcher became thicker and thicker. Later, he turned into a human-shaped ice sculpture, standing there. This also means that he has lost his ability to move. Seeing this scene, Chaoxing was immediately surprised. Haha, I really controlled him. This is a legendary strongman, but now he is controlled by a group of masters and heroes. If the old king was here at this time, he would be able to kill him in just this time of control. Andrew, behemoth form, reduce his defense. Others, focus your fire. Although Chaoxing knew that this level of strong people had high abnormal resistance and could break free in a short time even if they were controlled. But this was enough for them to output one round. With Chaoxing's order, a violent breath rose up. Then, everyone saw a giant beast more than 10 meters high suddenly jumped out. It roared towards the sky. Roar. Andrew first used ancient deterrence to reduce the opponent's armor by 30%. Then he used Broken Claw to scratch him madly. Puff, puff. Minus 18,623. Minus 159,326. Minus 328893. The opponent's armor was weakened by Andrew's wave, directly cut off by 90%. The damage of everyone increased by more than 10 times. Marinina also entered the burst state at this moment. Then he directly performed the burst skill Lotus Sword Dance. Sarah and Heli also released single target skills. Death Dance, Dark Knight Phantom Slash. Various terrifying single target attacks fell madly. Decrease 416,247. Decrease 421,152. Decrease 183,201. Decrease 159,235. Decrease 146,267. Decrease 629,632. A huge amount of damage numbers floated up. In less than 2 seconds, thousands of damage numbers appeared above the opponent's head, including those nightmare archers, corrosion arrow towers, and other long-range units are also outputting madly. Since he couldn't see the panel, Chaoxing didn't know how much HP this guy had. But according to previous experience, the HP of this legendary creature should be no less than 100 million. So let's assume that this guy has 200 million HP. In this wave of explosion just now, they knocked off 50 million HP of the opponent, almost a quarter. It can be said that it was all thanks to Andrew's Broken Claw that reduced this guy's armor by 90%. Otherwise, their damage might not even be 1/10. Chaoxing was also paying attention to the other party's condition. The assassin legend was controlled by them for less than 2 seconds, and the weakened armor on his body disappeared, including the thick ice layer covering his body. Cracks appeared one after another. Seeing this scene, Chaoxing quickly commanded, "All melee, retreat." The moment they heard the order, Marlene Nina and the dragon speaker, including Andrew, also retreated in an instant. As soon as the Watcher legend got out of trouble, humiliation appeared in his eyes. He was actually controlled by a group of less than legendary beings. This was a great shame for him. A terrifying murderous aura that almost became tangible burst out from him. Everyone felt the strong smell of blood coming towards them. It was obvious that this legendary assassin had killed countless lives in his life. That was the strong murderous aura that could only be possessed by killing more than 1 million people. He was about to rush over and kill Chaoxing to wash away the shame. However, he found that he was forced to attack Braum again. After all, it has been less than 10 seconds since the battle began. And the skill of Giant Roar can last for 20 seconds. Damn it! Damn it! I will kill you all! He seemed a little furious. He was a legendary strongman, but he had been entangled with a group of masters and heroes for so long and was still suppressed. It was a bit embarrassing to say it out, but Chaoxing and others completely ignored the threat of the other party. Taking this opportunity, the attacks of the crowd fell on him again. Although there is no armor reduction, the damage frequency is still very high. In total, it has also knocked off nearly 10 million health points. At this moment, this legendary watcher seems to have lost his patience. Let you see what a true legendary assassin is. As soon as he finished speaking, his figure disappeared directly on the spot. Then a hollow voice sounded in everyone's ears. Shadow 1000 kills, death slash. At this moment, the surrounding air seemed to be stirred, and an invisible sword energy spread out like a wave. Each blade of sword energy carried unparalleled lethality. The holy shields of all combatants began to shatter crazily. Crack, crack. The shattering sound was endless. Then, damages exceeding 100,000 began to appear above their heads. Minus 106,257. Minus 119,451. Minus 110,528. Minus 107,931. Minus 113,492. And the frequency was extremely terrifying. It jumped almost 2 or 3 times a second. This is equivalent to each person suffering 200,000 or 300,000 damages per second. Swish, swish. This invisible sword energy is still spreading rapidly. Even Qiaoxing felt a sense of crisis in his heart. Obviously, this is the opponent's legendary fighting skill, and this is just the opponent's opening move. This kind of fighting skill is not only terrifying in lethality, but also extremely wide in range, covering the entire territory easily. These core combatants can resist for a short time. But those ordinary soldiers and staff can't do it. He will probably be killed instantly in a short time. Seeing this, Qiaoxing almost subconsciously wanted to take out the moon god's sealing orb to interrupt his skill, and at this moment, a figure in a black robe stood out instantly. She raised her staff. Hua la la. A large number of poisonous insects appeared, and also revealed the assassin hidden in the dark. It was the new member, the priestess Fanus. After releasing the poisonous insects, the priestess raised her staff again. The curse will accompany you. After the words fell, the invisible dark aura fell on the legend, reducing his luck by 100 points. At this moment, the mammoth Dubai rushed over like a mad beast, and then raised his elephant hoof and trampled fiercely. Boom! The ground was stepped on by it, leaving 2 cracks with a diameter of dozens of meters, and the invisible shockwave spread like a water wave. It instantly spread to the legendary watcher. Facing Dubai's attack, he originally disdained it, but when the shockwave hit, he suddenly felt his body unstable and his eyes were spinning. Then, a dizziness sign appeared on the head of this legendary assassin. The invisible sword energy around him also dissipated in an instant. Seeing this scene, Qiaoxing's face instantly showed a look of surprise. Fuck, you can control this? Good job, Dubai, ha ha. Chapter 555. Qiaoxing knew that as a level 70 leader creature, it was almost impossible for Dubai to control a legend above level 100. The reason why this effect could be achieved now was related to the skill released by the priestess Fanus. It directly reduced his luck by 100 points, which in turn reduced his abnormal resistance. But no matter what, the result was good. Qiaoxing quickly ordered, "Everyone, continue to focus all your fire on this guy." After hearing the order, everyone launched an attack. Andrew was still the first to lead. It leaped to the side of the legendary assassin, wielding the broken claw, and continued to tear the opponent's body and cut the opponent's armor. Seeing the right time, everyone started to attack frantically again, and this time, in addition to the archers, more than 200 mages also launched an attack at the same time. Puff! Puff! Whoosh! The continuous spike stabbed the opponent's body into a bloody mess. The dense wind blades seemed to be able to tear everything apart. Not only that, the Black Smoke Shaman Blot and the Dragon Shaman Vimni used the combination skill again. Hua la la! The storm containing the power of lightning and black smoke rose up. On the other side, the wind mage Alan raised his staff and directly released the advanced skill Strangling Vortex. The two storms merged in an instant, and the speed of rotation increased tenfold. Then he began to strangle the enemy crazily. A huge amount of damage suddenly broke out on the head of this legendary assassin. At that time, Qiaoxing's evaluation of this skill was comparable to a small forbidden spell. At this time, even if it was a legend, it would have to withstand a lot of attacks. Including Qiaoxing himself, various big skills were also thrown one after another. After throwing the big skills, he threw small skills crazily. Anyway, in the Ice Spirit Soul state, these skills have no cooldown time. In less than 3 seconds, the stun mark on the head of this legendary assassin was about to disappear. Retreat! As Qiaoxing's voice sounded, everyone quickly retreated to the back, keeping a distance from this legendary assassin. The other party had already broken free from the dizziness. He tightly grasped the dagger in his hand, and looked at Qiaoxing with murderous intent. However, He no longer had the contempt he had before, but was full of vigilance. This wave of explosion just now caused his blood volume to drop by another 60 million. He had already had a thought of retreating in his heart. At this moment, a smile appeared on Chao Xing's face. Although he didn't kill the legend, it was obvious that the health of this legendary assassin had reached an unhealthy level. Moreover, Chao Xing also came to a conclusion. That is, with the strength of his territory, if all members attacked, it was enough to directly knock out half of the health of a legendary strongman. In other words, they were equivalent to half of the legendary combat power. Next, as long as he improved another wave, even if he didn't use the trump card, it would be possible to defeat the legend with the strength of these core combatants in the territory. But now, the test is over, and we can kill him directly. Chao Xing looked at him, and was ready to use the lizard statue. Just when he was about to take out the statue, the legendary assassin seemed to sense something, and instantly raised his vigilance. As a legendary strongman, he is also extremely sensitive to crisis. For no reason, he felt a fatal sense of crisis in his heart. His eyes were locked on Chao Xing. Because this sense of crisis came from him. There's something strange about this kid. The legendary assassin had already backed off. I heard his deep voice in my ear. Kid, I let you go tonight. He waved his hand, and an invisible shadow appeared. The man's figure became more and more blurred, as if he was about to disappear. Don't think you won. From now on, I will continue to assassinate you. Even if you hide behind this group of people and avoid my first assassination, can you avoid the second and third time? I can enter your territory at any time. Your defense is useless to me. But you can only hide in the territory, worried all day long. Next, I will keep you in nightmares, and keep you awake all night, ha ha ha. After the words fell, the shadowy aura emanating from him became stronger and stronger, and it seemed that he was about to disappear on the spot. The arrogant laughter continued to come, making everyone look more solemn. After all, being targeted by a legendary assassin would make anyone feel a lot of pressure. However, Chao Xing still did not make any move, nor did he let anyone else stop him. He stared at the other person until his figure completely disappeared from the spot. Then he looked at the wind mage Alan next to him. Is the mark ready? Alan nodded. It's done, Lord. Very good. The wind wings behind Chao Xing fluttered, and he instantly flew into the sky. At a glance, a green breath was seen escaping rapidly towards the front. This was a wind beacon that Alan, the wind mage, had placed on him. This guy fled in such a hurry that he didn't even sense that he was marked. He also didn't realize that his concealment had failed. However, this legendary assassin realized this not long after he ran away. He snorted coldly, "Want to track me? You're dreaming." His aura rose, and he expelled the effect of the wind beacon. He glanced at the territory in the distance again, and the murderous intent in his eyes was clear. Tonight's failure was a great shame for him. He left now just to recover from his injuries. Once he recovered, he would assassinate Chao Xing again. At that time, he must let this alien world leader experience what unforgettable pain is. Chao Xing, who was in the air, naturally saw the murderous look in the other party's eyes. He also knew that he would not give up, and would assassinate him for the second time soon. But it was obvious that Chao Xing would not give him a chance. A strange bead suddenly appeared in his hand. A smile also appeared at the corner of his mouth. I've spent so much effort today, not just to test the strength of the legend. Since you're here, don't even think about leaving. After saying that, he directly used the sealing function of the moon goddess orb. Buzz! A bright moon appeared instantly, and fixed the assassin in place. The legendary assassin, who was running at full speed, suddenly found it extremely difficult to move. At the same time, he also noticed that the full moon that was gradually sealing him was emitting a vast divine power, and even he couldn't break free. A strong sense of crisis suddenly appeared in his heart. The assassin's expression changed. This kid actually has the means to seal the legend? Not good. However, when he realized it, it was too late. The full moon had completely taken shape, and it fixed him in midair. But as mentioned before, the abnormal resistance of these legendary strongmen was extremely outrageous. It only took less than a second to seal him, and a large number of cracks appeared on the moon. He was about to break free. However, Chao Xing had already taken out the lizardman statue. Do you want to consume 3 divine power fragments to replenish 30 divine power for the lizardman statue? Yes. Before this, the statue had automatically recovered 23 divine power points. Now 30 divine power points are injected to fill it up directly. Although this guy has lost more than 100 million HP by Chao Xing and others, according to speculation, his HP should be less than 100 million, and with Sky-Splitting Claw it is enough to kill him instantly. But this is just Chaoxing's speculation. Chaoxing doesn't know how many health points a legendary warrior has. And he doesn't know if these guys have other means to save their lives. So, to be on the safe side, he would rather consume 20 more divine power points to take them away in one go. Then, Chaoxing directly used the most powerful move above, the Wrath of the Ancient Lizard King. Buzz! At this moment, a huge giant lizard suddenly appeared. Its terrifying body is like an ancient mountain, stretching across the sky above Chaoxing's territory, covering the dark night sky. The terrifying aura emanating from its body seemed to be able to sink the entire snowy plain. Although it was not the first time I saw it, I still couldn't help but sigh at the power of this lizard. Then, the lizard slowly opened its huge mouth, and it seemed to be brewing a ball of destructive energy. The next moment, this ball of destructive energy exploded instantly. Crash! When the dazzling beam of light appeared, it penetrated dozens of kilometers in an instant. It also directly covered the full moon. Boom! The energy fluctuations of the demigod's attack alone reached a terrifying level. The ground was shaking wildly, and a crack tens of thousands of meters long appeared. Most of the snowy plains felt this vast power. Under this terrifying divine power, the surrounding birds and beasts were frightened and stood still, not daring to move at all. The other survivors couldn't help but look up at the sky. In this dark night, most of the sky was illuminated by this beam of light. Especially in Yao Yiming's territory, because they were close, they could clearly see the beam of destructive light passing over the territory. Everyone looked at the horizon with a bewildered look in their eyes. Yao Yiming asked doubtfully, "What is this?" Yao Ying, who was standing next to him, stared at the other end of the light column and said solemnly, "This light column seems to be emitted from Brother Chaoxing's territory." "What?" Yao Yiming's eye showed a strong shock. "This terrifying light column actually came from Brother Chaoxing? I feel that if it touches even a little bit, the entire territory can be easily destroyed." The lizardman Tianjing next to him did not speak, with some worry on his face. After all, this level of attack was far beyond their imagination. It could easily raze their entire territory to the ground. The same was true for Chaoxing's territory. And since this level of attack was launched, this also means that Chaoxing may have encountered a terrible battle. On the other side, Chaoxing was still staring at the frozen figure, watching the light of the destroyer lizard penetrate his body, watching the terrifying damage numbers appear above his head. -10662137, -141582617, -157916235, -168932743, -189356242, -196256178. 10 damage numbers exceeding 100 million appeared. Obviously, with the health of this legendary assassin, he couldn't die anymore. Bang! Crack! The full moon shattered, and the light column dissipated. The huge lizard also disappeared on the spot after emitting the destructive lizard light. When Chaoxing looked forward, there was nothing left. Yes, the body of this legendary creature had been directly annihilated under that terrifying impact. Chaoxing exclaimed, "Is the wrath of the ancient lizard king so terrifying? It even evaporated the legendary corpse. Damn it, this is a bit of a loss." A look of pain appeared in his eyes. After all, the value of a legendary corpse is quite amazing. If it can be hatched by Zierda, it may be possible to create a powerful blood spider in the future. Just when Chaoxing was thinking this, he saw a huge crystal and a dagger appear at the place where the legendary assassin died, falling from the sky. Seeing this scene, Chaoxing's eyes condensed, and he quickly said, "Sarah, go." Sarah instantly turned into a flowing shadow and rushed over, and picked them all up. Then, Chaoxing heard a system prompt. "Survivor Chaoxing, please pay attention. You have successfully killed a legendary creature. You are the first survivor in the server to kill a legend. Do you want to report it to the whole server?" Looking at the prompt in front of him, Chaoxing chose no without hesitation. Although he now has a trump card to kill the legend, there is no need to publicize it. After all, if too many people know about it, then the trump card is no longer a trump card, it is an open card. After he made his choice, the system prompt appeared again. You successfully killed the Watcher Elder, Dark Raven LV-115, legendary creature, killed a monster above your level, and gained experience points, 0. Combatants gained experience points, 6325000. Congratulations, you got the first kill reward, 1 random relic treasure chest, 1 random legendary skill book, 10 divine power fragments. Seeing this series of system prompts, Chaoxing smiled. This first kill reward is a bit scary. However, He did not check the rewards in his backpack immediately, but pressed the communication device on his ear. A steady voice sounded beside my ears. Lord Chaoxing, your majesty has successfully repelled a powerful enemy and severely injured one of the legends. The opponent should not be able to recover in the next 1 or 2 months. How is the situation on your side? Chaoxing chuckled. General Crow, the situation here has stabilized. The attacking legend has been successfully killed by me. The other side gradually breathed a sigh of relief. Oh, it was actually repelled by Lord Chaoxing, that's good. Wait a minute, what did you say? You killed the legend. He seemed to realize it after the fact. With a strong shock in his tone, Chaoxing replied again, yes. At this moment, Crow was completely stunned, although it was hard to believe. He also knew that Chaoxing would definitely not joke about such things. Lord Chaoxing, you are really frightening. Crow sighed. Chaoxing replied, there is no way, even if I repel this guy, he will continue to cause trouble for me later. Just kill him on the spot, and put an end to it. By the way, General Crow, remember to inform His Majesty, and tell him to withstand the pressure. Crow took a deep breath and said, I know, I will report to His Majesty the King right away. After that, both parties quickly hung up the call. A few minutes ago, in the distant Yongchuang main city. It was past 9 o'clock in the evening. There were still many taverns with lights on in the city, and soldiers patrolling back and forth on the city walls. At this time, outside the city gate, 2 people dressed in businessmen's clothes, with the same aura as ordinary people, gradually approached the city gate. On the way, one of them suddenly took out a small device, and his expression changed slightly after receiving the information in it. Then he looked at the person next to him, and said, Han Jian, the Dark Crow has arrived at the destination and is about to start the action. We have to speed up here. Okay. Then let's go directly to the main city, and see if we can find an opportunity to sneak into the palace. It's better to kill Elton directly, and take his semi-artifact. The two looked at each other, then regained their normal expressions, and walked forward. However, just as they were about to approach the city gate, suddenly, they felt a fatal crisis coming from above their heads. Swish! A touch of shocking sword energy suddenly slashed from above their heads. And the distance was extremely close, even less than 100 meters. This distance is basically equivalent to nothing for a legendary strongman. At such a close distance, facing such an attack, there is no way to avoid it. The two of them instantly showed a look of shock and anger on their faces. One of them shouted, "This is the old king's attack, we have been discovered. Stop it quickly." After the words fell, they burst out with all their strength at the same time. 2 vast auras rose up and covered the entire Yongchuang main city in the blink of an eye. The aura also reached the legendary level. The 2 legends tried their best to block this sword. However, the old king's sword was obviously accumulated for a long time. In addition, even the 2 of them could not stop it. Puff! The sword energy passed through them without any hindrance, and cut a crack of tens of thousands of meters deep on the ground in front of them. At this moment, the 2 legendary watchers stood still. They took the blow of the Kingdom Holy Sword. Although they did not die, they also suffered a lot of injuries. From the bloodstains all over their bodies, it can be seen that drops of legendary blood dripped on the ground. At the same time, an old figure appeared on the city wall. It was the old king holding the holy sword of the kingdom, with his white hair fluttering in the night sky. At this moment, the old king lowered his head and looked at the 2 legends with a look of contempt and ridicule. One of the legends of the Watcher looked ugly, raised his head and asked, "Elton, how did you find us?" The old king seemed to disdain to answer him, and sneered, "The Watcher claims to be the guardian of mankind, but he also uses such despicable means. In order to deal with a 7th-level lord of another world, even 3 legends were dispatched. It's really laughable." Chapter 556. At the same time, the 2 legendary watchers also realized that their plan was exposed, not only in the Yongchuang main city, but also in the Dark Crow Elder, who raided the alien lord. There might be some accidents. This also made the 2 legendary watchers feel very difficult to understand, and they didn't know how they were exposed. Obviously, the information about the old king was naturally given by Chaoxing. After coming out of the grove and returning to the territory, Chaoxing contacted Crow as soon as possible, and then talked to the old king. The old king also attached great importance to the news that the legend of the Watcher was going to attack. He even decided to contact a mysterious old friend of his immediately, and asked him to go to Chaoxing's territory for support. However, Chaoxing refused after considering it. He decided to kill the legend with his own strength. Then, the following scene happened. It can be said that if the Watcher's plan succeeds this time, it will definitely catch Chao Xing and the old king off guard. And in the grove, the Watcher who informed him of the news in advance helped him a lot. Facing the old king's ridicule, the two legends did not feel the slightest bit of shame. Humph, even if you find out, so what? You still can't save that kid today, he's dead. The old king had a faint smile on his face. I think you're wrong. Lord Chao Xing, you don't need me to rescue him. Are you, on the contrary, ready to pay the corresponding price? Hearing this, the two legends of the Watchers showed disdain in their eyes. Arrogant, you don't have many years left to live. I want to see how you're going to make us pay. After saying that, the two strong men no longer concealed their intentions. Each of them held their weapons, and the vast aura instantly covered the entire Yongshuang main city. Then, one after the other, they rushed towards the old king. The Ice Crystal King also raised the Kingdom Holy Sword and slashed it fiercely. Boom! The three legendary creatures fought again and quickly rushed into the sky. One after another, powerful combat skills were thrown out, and destructive waves continued to erupt. The night sky even became extremely bright because of their fight. King of Ice Crystal fought two enemies alone with a semi-artifact in hand, and showed his invincibility without any worries. After a fierce fight, he broke out with legendary fighting skills. He almost cut one of the legendary Watchers in half, and the other had half of his arm cut off. In the end, the two were seriously injured and had to flee. This legendary battle ended with the old king slightly injured, and the two legendary Watchers seriously injured. At this moment, the Ice Crystal King stood proudly in the air, looking ahead. He did not release the weapon until the enemy completely disappeared. The kingdom's holy sword turned into a green light, and quickly returned to the depths of the palace. The civilians and soldiers in the main city looked at the figure in the air with fanatical worship in their eyes. They shouted the king's name one after another. The Ice Crystal King adjusted his breath in the air, so that the soldiers would not see his pale face. Then he gradually landed. At the same time, a figure quickly rushed to the old king, knelt on one knee, and reported respectfully. Your Majesty, Lord Chao Xing has successfully resolved the crisis. Hearing this, King Bingjing breathed a sigh of relief, and then chuckled. Lord Chao Xing is really capable. Even legendary masters can't do anything to him. But he repelled the Watcher this time, and the other party will definitely not give up, and will continue to cause trouble for him in the future. The old king frowned slightly. It seems that we have to think of a permanent solution. At this time, Crow said with a serious face, Your Majesty, Lord Chao Xing did not repel the legend among the Watchers. He killed him. Hearing this, the old king was slightly stunned for a moment, and then asked in confusion, What did you say? The legendary elder of the Watchers was killed by him. His turbid eyes were full of disbelief. General Crow said solemnly, Your Majesty, it was Lord Chao Xing who said it himself. He asked me to tell you that if the Watchers retaliate more fiercely in the future, you must hold on. The old king's reaction at this moment was almost the same as Crow's at that time, and he was completely stunned. Because that was a legendary strongman. Only those who were at the same level knew how difficult it was to kill a legendary creature. He held a semi-artifact and fought so many battles without killing a legend. And now, it was done by a 7th level lord of another world. Even with the old king's concentration, he was a little suspicious that he had heard it wrong. But soon, he came to his senses. Because he knew that Chao Xing would not lie about such things. After a moment, he shook his head helplessly and said, I thought that what he meant by resolving the crisis was to repel the legendary strongman. In the end, he actually killed him directly. This may really cause those guys to retaliate wildly. Thinking of this, the old king's eyes condensed, and he quickly said, Crow, notify all troops now to enter a state of war, and all members are ready to deal with strong enemies. Help me contact the Orchid Kingdom, the Haze Kingdom, and the Cuned Kingdom urgently. I want to talk to them. Your Majesty, what do you mean? The old king said helplessly. Prevent the guys on the Watcher side from being desperate and running to our Ice Crystal Kingdom to kill Lord Chao Xing. At that time, I may not be able to handle it alone. After hearing this, Crow also realized the seriousness of the matter. Yes, Your Majesty. I will contact them right away. Soon after the old king issued the order, the entire Yongshuang main city, including the soldiers on the border, entered a state of war. Various war machines were activated, and various artillery began to load ammunition. The soldiers of the Kingdom of Varen on the opposite side thought that the Kingdom of Ice Crystal was going to suddenly start a war, so they organized the army overnight and blew the horn of war. At the same time, in the mysterious hall, the 14 stone chairs were empty at this moment. Obviously, all the elders in the Watcher organization had their own tasks, and were now out on duty. There were few figures in the entire hall. And at this moment, one of the stone chairs carved with a black crow pattern, which had experienced the vicissitudes of time, suddenly changed. A crack gradually appeared on it, and in the blink of an eye, the crack quickly expanded and spread to the entire surface of the stone chair. Crack, crack! A cracking sound was heard, and one of the watchers noticed the change in the stone chair and looked over. However, before he could react, he saw that the stone chair collapsed into fragments in an instant. At this moment, he seemed to realize something. Because before this, their leader had said that a stone chair represented a watcher elder. If the stone chair was broken, it meant that the elder had met with an accident. An extremely horrified look instantly appeared on his face. He almost trembled all over and took out a strange device, then tremblingly pressed the communication button. After a while, the call was connected. Leader, something happened. The other party heard the panic in his tone, and instinctively felt that something bad might have happened. Asked, what happened? Leader, I just saw that the stone chair of the Dark Crow Elder was broken. At this moment, even the leader of the Watchers was silent for a moment. He took a deep breath, and then analyzed. The Dark Crow was sent by me to deal with the Lord of the Other World. I thought that there was an accident with cold sword or blood fire, but it turned out to be him. At this moment, a wave of anger gradually surged in his heart. He even wanted to immediately concentrate all the power of the Watchers to kill the old king and destroy the Ice Crystal Kingdom, kill them together with the Lord of Another World, but in the end, he still killed this idea. After these guys knew that our Watchers had returned, several kingdoms had joined forces and restarted the cross-domain teleportation array, allowing the top masters between each other to travel freely and quickly support each other. Unless a large number of legends are dispatched at the same time, or I take action personally, I can be sure to deal with these kingdoms. But these guys also have a lot of trump cards in their hands. Even if they can win in the end, they will suffer heavy losses. By then, I won't have the energy to deal with others. After a moment, he shook his head and said, wait a little longer, the plan will be successful soon. When the Blood Legion arrives, not only the Lord of the Other World, but even the Ice Crystal Kingdom will be easily destroyed. At this moment, after contacting the major kingdoms nearby, the old king began to be on high alert to guard against the counterattack of the Watchers. Including those kingdoms, the legendary auras awakened one by one. They stood beside a hidden teleportation array, ready to be teleported at any time. Chao Xing's killing of this legend can be said to have touched the nerves of countless people. However, the instigator of all this stood in the territory, looking at the rewards in his backpack with a look of surprise. The reward for killing the legend first this time is really fucking terrifying. A relic box, a legendary skill book, plus 10 divine power fragments, haha, so cool. The value of each of these 3 rewards is quite amazing. As you can tell from their names, they are all related to legends. Especially the 10 divine power fragments at the end, which can be said to be the most fragments he has ever obtained. However, this is only the first kill reward. After killing this legend, a lot of things were revealed. Sarah appeared silently beside Chao Xing, and then handed him a backpack respectfully. Lord, all the dropped items have been picked up, please take a look. Chao Xing smiled and transferred the things in his backpack. Obtained, Legendary Heart *1. Obtained, Shadow 1000 Kills / Legendary Skill Book. Obtained, Soul Hunting Dagger, orange. Obtained, Blood of the Strong *5. Not only a legendary heart, but also a skill book. At this moment, Chao Xing's heart was once again filled with strong surprise. Although killing a legend is very risky, the benefits are even more terrifying. He put all the rewards into his backpack, suppressed his excitement, turned around and said to all the territory members, now, everyone is on alert. Staff, urgently fill the ground in the territory buffer zone and repair the damaged city wall. All combatants, continue to prepare for the attack of legends. The combatants on the field all looked stern and looked forward with solemn faces. If they were asked to prepare for the attack of legends before, they might think it was a fantasy and completely impossible, but through the last battle, they all had confidence in their hearts. That is, with their strength, they were enough to fight against a legend head-on. If they cooperated with the statue in the Lord's hand, they could even kill a legend. Including the dragon speaker, who was stepping on Seraphus's back at this moment, with a fighting spirit in his eyes. For her, fighting against a legend was also an unprecedented experience, which could bring her great help. When everyone was on high alert, the staff also quickly came out and began to fill the big holes in the buffer zone caused by the battle, and some staff went to repair the city wall. Chao Xing himself came to the center of the territory, to check the rewards he had just received. First, of course, was the first kill reward. He took out an ancient box from his backpack. Do you want to open the random relic box? After opening, you will get a relic of a random profession. There is no need to explain the function of this thing. Hero-level strongmen need relics to break through the legend. And because of different professions, the relics required are also different. Until now, even Chao Xing didn't know how many professions there are in this world. After all, there are dozens of professions in his territory alone. So it is still very difficult to get the relic you want in this random relic box. Let's see which profession can be opened. It's better to open a swordsman for me. With anticipation, Chao Xing directly clicked to open it. The next moment, the box slowly opened, and a strong light burst out from it. When the light faded, Chao Xing saw an ancient small round shield in the box. This round shield is only about 50 centimeters in diameter, and there are some ancient patterns carved on it, which looks like some kind of primitive creature. Because of the passage of time, this round shield even has a few cracks. After taking it out of the box, the system prompt appears. Obtained, Relic Ancient Beast Round Shield. Oh, it's actually a shield. Grabbed it in his hand, and looked at the attributes. Relic Ancient Beast Round Shield. Quality, unknown. Item Effect 1. The round shield contains a part of the defensive divine power, which is one of the main materials needed for the shield profession to break through to the legendary realm. Item Effect 2. It can directly absorb the divine power contained in it, and gain 100 points of divine power, but the relic will disappear because the divine power is exhausted. It is indeed a relic of the shield profession, which means that this thing belongs to Braum. A trace of regret appeared on Chao Xing's face. What a pity, Braum is only level 70, and has not yet broken through to hero. He is still a long way from legend. It seems useless to come out so early. But the things opened this time are also good. In any case, at least the relic for Braum to break through to legend is ready. Chao Xing put it in his backpack, and then took out another thing. This is also an ancient box. But it is much smaller than the relic box. It is said that a random professional legendary skill book can be opened inside. Open. Random skill book. Legendary level? Yes. At the same time, the wooden box in his hand slowly opened again, and different lights changed from it. From the ice blue with strong coldness, to the white with killing sword energy, and the green symbolizing life, etc. Buzz. The light kept changing. In the end, Chao Xing saw all the light disappear. Then, a strong and gorgeous aurora gushed out from it. An ancient book covered by aurora appeared in midair. Chao Xing reached out and grabbed it. Obtained skill book, Aurora Shining Skyfall. Oh, it's actually Aurora attribute. Could it be the skill of Aurora Knight? With anticipation, Chao Xing looked at the attribute. Aurora Shining Skyfall, Legendary Aurora Knight exclusive skill book. Learning condition, level 100 Legendary Aurora Knight. Skill effect, consume 20 points of divine power, raise the long sword in your hand to condense infinite aurora power, covering an area with a diameter of 5,000 meters. Within the aurora range, all friendly units' 4-dimensional attributes increase by 50%, and their attack speed increases by 50% for 20 seconds. During this period, the legendary Aurora Knight continuously condenses a large amount of aurora power on the tip of the sword, charges for 3 seconds, and then strikes out with a powerful sword with attack power asterisk 15,000%. Skill cooldown time, 24 hours. After reading the long attribute introduction of this skill, Chao Xing was completely shocked. Fuck, this is not only for the Aurora Knight, but also a legendary auxiliary skill book. This effect is too abnormal, isn't it? It increases the 4-dimensional attribute by 50% and the attack speed by 50%. If it is combined with my eternal power, won't the attributes of all members explode? Obviously, the effect of this skill book has exceeded his legendary skill, Eternal Sin Ice Prison. He even wanted to let Lu Muxue learn it immediately, and then give everyone a bonus. But Lu Muxue is only level 71 now, and there is still a long way to go before she can reach level 100 and break through to the legendary level. Besides, he didn't even know what relic the Aurora Knight needed to break through the legend. Chao Xing couldn't help but complain. Damn, what a pity. Such a powerful skill, but I can't use it now. He put it in his backpack with some regret. Next, the third reward is the 10 divine power fragments. Chao Xing counted the number of fragments in his backpack. There were 12 left before, and 3 were consumed when killing the legendary Watcher. Now, the total has reached 19. In other words, there are 190 points of divine power to be replenished here. Then, he has 2 relics in his hand, the Seal of Light and the ancient beast round shield. If all are absorbed, 200 points of divine power can be replenished. And the divine power rosary, after these days of collection, has reached 37 points. So if I give everything, there are about 427 points of divine power to be replenished. And Marlene's own divine power has reached 15 points. In other words, I'm still about 50 points short of divine power to enable Marlenina to activate her second form and have legendary combat power. Thinking of this, Chao Xing smiled. After all, the gap between a sub-legend and a legend is too big. Even if he concentrates all his strength, plus the lizard statue, he can only barely deal with one legend. But what if two legends come to deal with him at the same time? Obviously, he will have no chance of winning. So, if he could have a legendary warrior in his territory at this time, and cooperate with the old king, he would not be afraid even if the Watchers attacked in large numbers. But this is the way with the greatest loss. After all, 2 relics are needed, and these 2 relics have the probability of giving birth to 2 legends. But if, under the last resort, Chao Xing would not hesitate to give all of them to Marlenina, so that she could directly activate the second form. After all, if the relics are gone, you can look for them again, but if your life is gone, it is really gone. I have made up my mind. Chapter 557. Next, let's see what will be revealed after killing that legendary assassin. At the same time, Chao Xing took out a fist-sized crystal from his backpack. It looks similar to the Heart of Power, but is much smaller than an ordinary Heart of Power. And its color is not red, but black, and it seems to contain some mysterious fluctuations. I looked at the attributes. Heart of Legend. Effect of the item. After using it, with the relics of a specific profession, a level 100 creature can be transformed into a legendary creature. Note: the success rate of transformation to a legendary creature varies depending on personal potential. The success rate of a level 100 leader is 40%, the success rate of a commander is 50%, and the success rate of a master is 70%. Note 2: mutated creatures will have an additional 10% success rate. Very good, I have basically gathered all the conditions for breaking through to a legendary creature. Now we just need to raise Braum or Isabel to level 100, and then we can try to make them break through to legend. If we can get more divine power fragments, we can replenish them for Marlenina. By then, I can even have 2 legendary combat powers at once. Thinking of this, Chao Xing suddenly became excited. Of course, he also saw the notes at the back. The success rate of breaking through to legend is based on the opponent's potential. From the leader, commander, to the highest ruler. The higher the potential, the higher the success rate. For a commander like Braum, the success rate is about 50%, which is about the same as breaking through to the hero level. But if it is a mutant master like Dragon Speaker, the success rate is as high as 80%. Combined with his super high luck value, it feels like it can reach at least 90%. As for elites below the leader level, or the potential of the boss level, there is no success rate marked on it. Perhaps even the system believes that creatures with this kind of potential basically have no chance of breaking through to the legendary level. It's a pity that no sword relics were opened this time. Otherwise, if the Dragon Speaker is upgraded to level 3, he can try to transform into a legendary creature. Chao Xing felt a little regretful. Shat his head and checked other gains. This is also a skill book, which exudes a dark atmosphere and contains an invisible sword energy, which gives people a tingling feeling. Shadow 1000 Kills Death Slash. Assassin Legendary Skill Book. Learning Conditions. Level 100 Legendary Assassin. Skill Effect. Consume 10 points of divine power, condense a large amount of shadow power, form a lethal sword energy, and then gradually spread to the surroundings. Make all creatures within 5,000 meters around it receive 3 to 5 cut damages per second. After 3 seconds, absorb all shadow power and send a fatal slash with 10,000% attack power to the enemy. This slash has a 100% hit probability and ignores 50% of the enemy's armor. Cooldown time, 24 hours. Awesome! It's really a legendary skill, Chao Xing exclaimed. Obviously, this skill is quite terrifying, as can be seen from the performance of the legendary assassin when it was released. If the Priestess Fanas and Dubai hadn't interrupted it, not only would the entire territory have suffered heavy casualties. Even Chao Xing would have been knocked down and resurrected at least twice in the face of this attack. Chao Xing said happily, although this skill is very perverted, it's mine now. It seems that Sarah's legendary skill has also been found. Satisfied, he put it in his backpack, and then there were 2 other gains. A level 100 epic dagger, and 5 drops of strong blood. The level of that weapon was too high, and no one in the territory could use it, so Chao Xing was too lazy to look at it. As for the 5 drops of blood of the strong, that is an extremely precious resource. This thing will only produce 1 drop after killing a hero level strong. And now, after killing a legend, 5 drops are released at once. Counting the 1 drop obtained not long ago, it is just enough to increase the attack power of the 2 combatants. So far, the harvest of this battle has been counted. It can be said to be quite good. Next is the time to digest these harvests. Throwing away those things that cannot be used temporarily, the 6 drops of blood of the strong can immediately improve the combat power. Then, Chao Xing called the dragon speaker and Sarah, and both women came to him with serious faces. Chao Xing directly took out 6 drops of the blood of the strong, gave each of them 3 drops and said, "Absorb this blood." The 2 women took it solemnly, and they also felt a strong power in it. After absorbing it, they can improve their strength again. Sarah said respectfully, "Thank you, Lord." The dragon speaker next to him also nodded slightly. Then, they absorbed it together. Your territory member, dragon speaker Binglan absorbed the blood of the strong. Basic attack power increased by 10%, remaining times, 2. Your territory member, Sarah Blade Dance absorbed the blood of the strong. Basic attack power increased by 10%, remaining times, 2. After 6 consecutive prompts, the attack power of these 2 hero-level strongmen increased a lot. Glancing at their panels. Currently, Binglan's attack power has officially broken through 110,000, and a dragon sword can also deal 400,000 to 500,000 damage. Sarah's attack power reached 70,000. With 100% crit and extra burst damage, a casual blow could deal more than 200,000 damage. If the gift of liberation is triggered, it will be even more abnormal. Chao Xing was very satisfied with their improvement. Go down, stay alert, and deal with powerful enemies that may appear at any time. Yes. The 2 women left one after another and entered combat mode. In this way, the combatants in the entire territory were on high alert. Even the old king who was far away in the main city of Everfrost held the kingdom's holy sword and remained vigilant. But in the end, the Watchers still did not send anyone over. They seemed to have chosen to swallow their anger. The night passed quickly. When the dawn shone on the earth, a system prompt appeared. Attention all survivors, you have come to the 31st day of the development period, and there are still 14 days before the 3rd round of Monster Siege. This will be the last round of Monster Siege. Soon after this round of siege ends, a new expansion pack will be launched. Attention! The new expansion pack is extremely difficult. Please seize the time and improve your strength as much as possible. Weather forecast. There will be a moderate snowfall in the snowstorm area, with the lowest temperature being minus 68 degrees Celsius to minus 73 degrees Celsius. Please be prepared to keep warm. When the system prompt ended, the chat channel was in an uproar again, because the system clearly stated that this was the last round of Monster Siege. And the most important thing is that this time the opening time of the new expansion pack was also determined, which is shortly after the Monster Siege ends. For a moment, the survivors had another heated discussion. The development period of 1.5 months is coming to an end so soon. Although I have improved my strength a lot during this period, I still feel uncertain. Yes, the system has prompted several times that this new expansion is extremely difficult. I don't know if we can survive with our strength. Brothers, I estimate that after the expansion arrives, many human survivors will die again. Everyone sighed. No one ignored the system's reminder, but everyone took it very seriously. Because they all knew that every time a new expansion pack was opened, there would be death. But since they had all survived until now, no one wanted to be a victim. Everyone made up their minds to try their best to survive in the new information. At the same time, Chao Xing stood in the territory with a solemn expression. Is the Blood Legion about to appear? Maybe the other survivors didn't know what the new information was, but he knew it very well. That is a force that can destroy many kingdoms. This also made Chao Xing understand why the Watchers did not continue to send people to deal with him. They are probably concentrating all their strength to make the Blood Legion come to the world as soon as possible, so they have no energy to care about Chao Xing. He calculated in his mind. There is still half a month before the last round of monsters attacking the city. At present, half a month, with the Divine Power beads, is enough for Marlenina to accumulate 30 points of Divine Power. Plus, after the 10th wave of monsters attack the city, 3 Divine Power fragments will be fixed. Regardless of the cost, the Divine Power in my hand is completely enough for her to open the legendary form. That is to say, when the Blood Army descends, no matter what, I will have a legendary combat power. Thinking of this, Chao Xing's heart is slightly settled. You know, what his territory lacks most at present is the high-end combat power of the legendary level. if there can be a legendary strongman to withstand the pressure. Then, for those below the hero level, as long as the number of them is not too large, he will not be at all vulnerable. No matter how abnormal the Blood Legion is, it is impossible for thousands of heroes to appear directly. After all, if they were really so awesome, they would not have been defeated 1,000 years ago. He felt a little more confident in his heart. However, one legend is still not safe. I have to improve my strength during this period of time. It would be best if I have 2 legends before the Blood Legion arrives. A sense of urgency appeared in Chao Xing's heart again. At present, some low-level areas can no longer help me improve my strength. Only some high-level areas can help me. At present, I control quite a few high-level areas, including Lloyd's Tomb, the place where the legendary wizard is passed down, and the ancient ruins mentioned by the Lord of Dwelluin Lake City. Among them, the most important thing is to go to that ancient ruins. But that place is not open yet, and Assam is already challenging Lloyd's Tomb. That is to say, what I need to do now is to explore the place where the legendary wizard inherited his legacy. Chao Xing made a decision quickly. However, he did not need to mobilize a large army to go to this place of inheritance. He only needed to send the Holy Light Priest Isabel and a few warriors to accompany her. Others also had to hurry up to deal with more enhanced ice nests, obtain gold points, and improve their strength. Thinking of this, Chao Xing ordered, "All combatants, assemble." Hua la la. The soldiers who had been on alert all night quickly gathered together, with a serious look. Chao Xing said after taking a glance at the soldiers on the field. Next, except for the combatants who have reached the maximum level of the current stage, all others will go out to find ice nest monsters to fight. Follow the method of yesterday. The Griffin Knights will search for the location of the ice nest in the air, and the other legions will be responsible for clearing out the ice nest monsters inside. Bing Lan, Sarah, Mu Shui, the 3 of you go too, and try to raise your level to the limit of level 10 as soon as possible. When a series of orders were issued, they all knew that their lord was under some pressure because of the legendary attack last night. Everyone responded, "Yes, Lord. We will do our best to improve ourselves and make ourselves stronger." After that, a group of fighters left. However, there are still quite a number of fighters who have reached the current maximum level and stayed in the territory. Chao Xing continued, "Isabel, come here." The Holy Light Priest came slowly, with the staff of divine punishment in his hand, then bowed slightly and said, "Lord, please give me your orders." Chao Xing said, "Next, I will give you a location where there may be a legacy of a legendary light mage. I need you to go to this place alone and start the legacy." "Are you sure?" Hearing this, Isabel's eyes fixed. "Is it a legendary light mage? If it is such a place, it will be of great help to me." Chao Xing replied, "Yes, if you are not sure, I can ask 2 people to go with you." Isabel shook her head and said, "No, respected lord. Legacy set by legendary wizards, like this is different from those Sword Saint inheritances. They have strict attribute requirements for their successors. Without mastering the corresponding attributes, they will not allow other creatures to enter the inheritance." Chao Xing nodded suddenly. "Okay, then you go alone now. If you have any questions, contact me immediately through the communication device on your ear." "Yes." After saying this, the Holy Light Priest turned around and stepped into the teleportation array with his staff in hand. So far, in addition to Assam and Rennie's, Isabel was also sent out by him to perform a mission alone. Just when he decided to call all the combatants to gather together, a visit request suddenly appeared and interrupted his thoughts. "Giant Chamber of Commerce. Orkin applies to visit your territory. Do you accept it?" Giant Chamber of Commerce? Chao Xing was slightly stunned, and then he remembered something. Speaking of which, the Giant Chamber of Commerce had come to his territory once before. Unlike the Black Lion Chamber of Commerce and the Moon Goddess Chamber of Commerce, this is a Chamber of Commerce that specializes in slave trading. It was also in this Chamber of Commerce that Chao Xing discovered 2 talents. They were the Queen of Mind, Victoria, and the Poison Master Sabina. This Chamber of Commerce came here. Does it want to do business with me again? With a puzzled look, Chao Xing clicked agree and walked out of the city gate. At first glance, a convoy appeared in front. There were nearly 20 carriages in total, which was considered a fairly large convoy. Each carriage was covered with a black cloth with a fist mark printed on it. On both sides of the carriages, there was a group of well-equipped mercenaries, and everyone looked at this territory with a solemn look on their faces. Walking in the front was a tall and thin middle-aged man. Chao Xing also knew this person. It was Orkin, who had been to the territory once before. At this moment, this tall and thin merchant with shifty eyes approached and looked at everything in the territory in surprise. It seems that no one expected that in just a few months, this territory would change so much. Chao Xing stood alone outside the territory waiting. Soon, the two sides met. Ulkin couldn't help asking, "Lord, what happened in your territory? How long has it been? There have been such earth-shaking changes." Chao Xing shook his head, "Nothing, it's just that the staff in my territory are more diligent." Seeing that he was unwilling to say more, Ulkin knew better, and didn't ask more questions. "Mr. Orkin, what's up today?" Chao Xing asked straight to the point. The merchant immediately smiled. "Lord Chao Xing, you are also a forgetful person. Last time, didn't I promise you that I would bring you a batch of good stuff next time I pass by the snowstorm? This time, I came to you specifically to trade." Hearing the word good stuff, Chao Xing's interest was also aroused. "Oh, what is it?" Ulkin looked behind him and made a gesture. The next moment, the group of mercenaries reached out and grabbed a corner of the carriage curtain and then directly opened it. Clatter! The black cloth slowly fell. Then, Chao Xing saw a group of strange figures appear in the prison of the carriage. They had human appearance and seemed to have female characteristics. But their bodies seemed to be made of pure gems, in the shape of transparent crystals. Their skin was smooth and translucent, and looked angular. The eyeballs could not be seen in the crystal-like pupils. They tilted their heads and stared in the direction of Chao Xing and Orkin, as if they were looking at something. The appearance of this group of strange creatures was too strange. Even their hair, clothes, and even nails were made of crystal. Such a special appearance also aroused Chao Xing's curiosity. He asked with doubt, "Mr. Orkin, what are these?" The businessman explained with a strange smile on his face, "Lord Chao Xing, these are the crystal people, an extremely ancient race. The earliest existence can even be traced back to tens of thousands of years ago. Their origins are complicated, and no one knows how this race was born. There is a legend that when the continent split, some magical stones buried deep underground were squeezed and erupted, and came to the surface, and then formed this race. Some people also say that they came from other planes and descended into this world. After being washed by endless sea water, they have their own consciousness. In short, there are many different opinions, and even they themselves don't know their origins." Ulkin paused, then continued, "These crystal people, everything in their bodies is made of crystal stones, and they look like decorations. But they have their own consciousness, and they are very smart. Not only can they move around on their own, but they have also established their own tribe. So, they are also an intelligent race in this world." After listening to this, Chao Xing still had a puzzled look in his eyes. "What are the uses of this group of crystal people?" Ulkin said excitedly, "Of course they are useful. These crystal people are treasures that can spit out golden eggs. They can swallow some crystal stones, digest them in their bodies, and produce dark crystals and shining crystals. There are even legendary colorful crystals." Chapter 558. Merchant Ulkin explained with great excitement, "These crystals are extremely valuable. Even an ordinary dark crystal is worth more than 100,000 crowns. And a shining crystal can even sell for millions of crowns. Moreover, there are even more precious and rare colorful crystals, any one of which costs tens of millions. However, the production probability of this colorful crystal is too low, even among the entire crystal race." At this point, Orkin changed the subject, and then looked at him with a smile and said, "Lord Chao Xing, I wonder if you are interested in these crystal people?" A strange look appeared in Chao Xing's eyes. "Just swallow the crystal stone, and you can produce crystals of amazing value. Such a rare and valuable race, would you be kind enough to sell it to me instead of raising it yourself?" There was doubt in his tone. The goat beard on Orkin's chin trembled slightly. Faced with Chao Xing's doubts, there was a bit of panic in his pupils. But he immediately regained his composure and explained with a wry smile, "It's like this, Lord Chao Xing. Although these crystal people can spit out crystals of astonishing value, it's not easy to feed them. They have to eat a lot of crystals regularly, whether it's frost white crystal, shadow amethyst, etc. This kind of high-grade material is not only expensive, but also has very few sources. If you don't feed them crystals for a while, these crystal people will starve to death, and then you lose all your money. Moreover, only if they are fed enough crystals will they produce crystals, which is equivalent to the need for investment to get returns." Ulkin's explanation makes sense. After all, this kind of crystal is not something that can be obtained casually. Speaking of which, he actually has a vein of white crystal. The mine is very large, and more than 100 goblins worked hard for nearly 2 months to mine all the white crystals. But it only brought Chao Xing 120,000 units of white crystals. During this period, a lot of crystals were consumed because of making robots and repairing ancient swords. There are not many crystal reserves in the territory at present. But it doesn't matter, because the cooling time of the Shining Throne is almost up, and there is a high probability that other crystal mines can be found. Therefore, if he can buy this group of crystal people, it may really bring him a lot of benefits. Of course, Xiaoxing didn't just listen to this guy's bragging. Instead, he planned to check the properties of these crystal people first. However, when he looked over, he found that these crystal people had a shielding device on their bodies, blocking his detection. Fortunately, Xiaoxing's true vision was quite powerful. He directly penetrated the shielding on these crystal people, and saw their information. Name 3-leaf stone. Race, crystal people. Level 31, level 4 elite creature. HP, 41225/41225. Attack power, 1894 to 1917. Armor, 385 to 417. Skills, crystal body, physical damage received is reduced by 30%, but cracks will appear when HP drops below 50%, and will shatter in severe cases. Survival instinct, when the crystal people encounter danger, they will instantly burst 200% of their movement speed, and the probability of dodging will increase by 30% until they are out of danger. Crystal shine, when the tribe members are in danger, the tribe elite will emit a strong light, blocking the enemy's sight, and increasing the dodge rate of all tribe members by 20%. Cooling time, 3 minutes. Talent, crystal transformation, you can eat various crystals, and after digestion, you will produce 3 precious gems such as dark crystal, purple, flash crystal, gold, and colorful crystal, orange. Note, the probability of producing dark crystal is 80%, the probability of flash crystal is 20%, and the probability of colorful crystal is 1%. Xiaoxing's eyes showed a look of realization. As Orkin said, this is a special race that can produce crystals by eating crystals. Although it is not known what these crystals are used for. But the system said that these crystals are very precious, and it is obvious that their value will not be low. And among them, there are even crystals of epic quality. Of course, the more precious the crystal, the lower the probability. But this also made Xiaoxing a little interested. After all, with the blessing of Shining Throne, he can continue to discover more rare mineral veins, including various crystal mines. There is no need to worry about the food problem of this group of crystal people. So Xiaoxing asked, "How are you going to sell this batch of crystal people?" After hearing this, Orkin's eyes gradually narrowed. He knew that Xiaoxing was tempted. He glanced at him with a sly look, and then said with a smile, "Lord Xiaoxing, this is not the first time we have traded, and I know your character. There are a total of 112 crystal people here. If I sell them retail, I will sell them at a price of 5 million crowns per person. But, as mentioned before, these crystal people are group creatures. If they are separated from their tribesmen, they may stop eating and die soon. If you want, I suggest buying all of these crystal people. I give you a package price." Xiaoxing's eyes showed a strange look. "What's the package price?" Orkin hesitated for 2 seconds, as if he had made some difficult decision. He said directly, "For the sake of Lord Xiaoxing, I take a loss, and give you a package of 500 million crowns. How about it?" Xiaoxing once again took a deep look at the sly businessman. Although he did have more than 1 billion kronor in his backpack, he didn't want to be a sucker. Xiaoxing was almost crazy to spend 500 million kronor to buy a group of slaves whose specific value was uncertain. So he said, "Mr. Orkin, I can't afford such a high price. You should go find someone else." After saying that, he turned around and left. Seeing this, the businessman immediately grabbed his sleeve and said quickly, "Lord Xiaoxing, don't worry, we can talk about the price if you are not satisfied." He looked at Xiaoxing with a smile. His eyes meant that he could bargain. Xiaoxing thought for a moment, and held out 5 fingers. "I can only offer 500,000 crowns per person." Hearing this price, Orkin suddenly felt a little toothache. He found that Lord Xiaoxing was really rude every time he bargained. Others would cut the price in half if they were more ruthless. He was so good that he directly bargained to the soles of his feet. If it were an ordinary businessman, he would probably refuse directly at this time, and would not bother to continue trading with Xiaoxing. And this Orkin seemed to see that Xiaoxing must have a lot of assets with such a large territory. He didn't want to give up this big customer. So, with a look of embarrassment on his face, he said, "Lord Xiaoxing, your price is really too low. In order to capture this group of crystal people, we went deep into the mountains and many mercenaries died on the way. Just to provide pensions to the families of these mercenaries, it cost about tens of millions of crowns. Counting the cost of transportation and the cost of feeding them crystal stones during this period, I will lose money if I sell it this way. Can you give me a little more? Chao Xing thought for a moment, his eyes swept over the group of mercenaries. Then he nodded slightly and said, in that case, I give you a little more. A smile suddenly appeared on Orkin's face, and then he saw Chao Xing stretched out a finger. Orkin asked tentatively, 1 million? Chao Xing said, add another 100,000. For each crystal people, I can only offer 600,000 crowns at most. This price made Orkin roll his eyes again. Chao Xing said directly, 600,000 is the highest price I can accept. My territory has been developed for too short a time, and does not have many assets. I cannot let my territory fall into the development dilemma of insufficient funds, just to buy this batch of crystal people. Chao Xing's words were well reasoned, and Orkin's face showed hesitation again after hearing it. After a moment, he gritted his teeth and said, in this case, I will also give Lord Chao Xing a bottom price. How about 1 million crowns for one crystal person? If it's any lower, we really lose a lot of money on this trip. He seemed extremely distressed. Chao Xing pondered for a moment. Obviously, he got a great bargain at the price of 1 million per crystal man. After all, according to Orkin, a shining crystal is worth millions. Although the probability is a bit low, with more than 100 crystal men, a lot of crystals can still be produced. Moreover, these crystal men don't only produce crystals once. As long as they are fed with crystals regularly, they will produce another batch of crystals every once in a while. As Orkin said, this is indeed a race that spits out golden eggs. This also made Chao Xing a little suspicious. Could this guy really be so kind? After all, the nature of businessmen is to pursue profit. Although Orkin was very sad, these businessmen are very cunning and have great acting skills. Maybe there are some tricks behind them that he can't see. However, Chao Xing's strength is here, so he is not worried that this guy will plot against him. As long as these crystal people come to his territory, they can't escape from his palm, so he replied, okay, let's take this price. I want this batch of crystal people. Hearing Chao Xing's agreement, the merchant smiled happily. Lord Chao Xing is really straightforward. In that case, let's trade now? Chao Xing said nothing more, and directly took out a green backpack, which just contained 112 million crowns, and threw it over. Next. After Orkin got the back of this space, he confirmed the amount of coins inside, and smiled happily again. However, they still did not complete the transaction. Only when the group of slaves were traded to Chao Xing, the transaction was equivalent to the end. Lord Chao Xing, please wait a moment. I will ask these guards to release these crystal people. Here, he suddenly paused. But, I suggest you call a few more soldiers over. These crystal people are very good at escaping, and they have not yet completely surrendered to us. They may escape as soon as they are out of the cage, and it will be difficult to catch them back then. He seemed to be thinking about Chao Xing. But Chao Xing smiled and shook his head and said, no need, they can't run away. His tone was full of confidence. Through the system panel, Chao Xing had already seen the skills of these crystal people. Their ability to escape was indeed strong. And there were 2 or 3 elite creatures among them, which could increase the movement speed of the people. However, these abilities were useless in the face of absolute strength. After hearing this, Orkin had a barely perceptible smile on his face. It seemed that Chao Xing's decision was just what he wanted. He stopped persuading them, and turned to the mercenaries and said, release all these crystal people. The mercenaries beside the carriage immediately obeyed. However, there was a trace of pity in their eyes when they looked at Chao Xing. That look was as if they were looking at a fool. Crack. The sound of chains dragging continued to ring. One cage after another was opened. The group of crystal people walked out of the cage with a tentative look. Their crystal-like legs stepped on the edge of the carriage, making a sound of stone collision. They all seemed to be quite honest, and did not have any intention of escaping, as Orkin said. The merchant smiled and said, Lord Chao Xing, they are yours now. Okay. Chao Xing nodded slightly. At this point, their transaction was officially completed. At the same time, the system prompt appeared. Transaction successful. You gained Crystal Clan *112 people. You lost coins *112 million. Ding! The item Diamond membership card is effective, and 20% of the coins in this transaction will be returned to you. You gained coins *22.4 million. Chao Xing was happy. He didn't expect that buying slaves was also within the scope of membership card. This item is really good. I saved myself more than 20 million crowns, just when Chao Xing was about to go over and take these crystal people back to his territory. One of the crystal people, who was about 1.8 meters tall, thin and extremely skinny, suddenly burst into light. The light was so strong that it even blocked the vision of everyone on the field. It was the elite skill of the Crystal People, Crystal Shine. Not only can it blind the enemy, but it can also speed up other Crystal People. And this also means that they are ready to escape. Sure enough, the moment the light burst, the group of Crystal People started to move at the same time. Like a group of disturbed birds, they fled in all directions, and at a very fast speed. In all directions, there were shadows of these Crystal People. Obviously, given the current situation, even if Chao Xing sent out the entire territory's combat personnel to catch people, most of them would escape. A few anxious expressions appeared on Orkin's face, and he hurriedly said, "Help Lord Chao Xing catch them." Hearing this, the group of mercenaries moved quickly. However, their speed was not even close to that of the Crystal People, who were bursting out at full force. They were left behind after running a few steps. Seeing this, Chao Xing was not panicked, but instead had a faint smile on his face. Because he had already understood the routine of this Orkin. These Crystal People had already been tamed by him, and trained in advance. Orkin first sold these Crystal People to the nobles, or other lords at a very low price. After the transaction is completed, the Crystal People will start to flee quickly. With the help of their escape skills, it is difficult to catch them again. And those lords or nobles who took advantage of them will lose everything. After that, Orkin will take these Crystal People back and look for the next big enemy to trade. And the other lords can't say anything about this matter. After all, he didn't know about all this, the transaction was over, and they could only admit it. However, although Chao Xing saw Orkin's routine, he was still not in a hurry. They were just a group of level 3 or 4 creatures. How could they escape his control? The wind wings behind Chao Xing fluttered slightly, and then took him into the air. The next moment, he raised his staff, and the deep magical aura gradually spread in his body. At the same time, a powerful ice spirit shadow appeared and merged with himself in an instant. Buzz! A powerful magic power burst out instantly. It made people feel a wave of destructive oppression. Chao Xing glanced at it. On his skill bar, all the small skills such as Ice Spear, Ice Wall, etc. turned red, which also meant that they entered the no-CD state. The system prompt appeared. Successfully use the skill Ice Spirit Possession. In the next 30 seconds, all small skills enter the no-CD state. Affected by the talent Eternal Power, this skill has become permanent. At this moment, a smile appeared on Chao Xing's face. Then, he raised his staff. Crash! A wall of ice suddenly appeared in front of one of the Crystal People. Because she couldn't dodge in time, she crashed into it with a bang, making a crisp sound. Just as this crystal person staggered and was about to get up and run away again, she suddenly saw an amazing scene. One after another, ice walls rose up in front of her, and spread to the surroundings, gradually forming an encirclement. Crash! In the blink of an eye, at least hundreds of ice walls appeared. At this moment, the group of Crystal People suddenly realized something. This Lord of the Other World actually wanted to surround them all by releasing a large number of ice walls. Thinking of this, the Crystal People began to flee frantically again. However, as mentioned before, no matter how fast you are, you can't be faster than Chao Xing's casting speed. One ice wall after another rose up, blocking their way. And just after Chao Xing released nearly 600 ice walls in a row, he suddenly felt a tingling sensation in his mind. He knew that this was a sign of exhaustion of mental power. Without any hesitation, he threw 2 drops of the best tree sap into his mouth. Instantly, a sense of clarity came from his brain, and his mental power was replenished. So, Chao Xing continued to wave his staff. Hua la la. More ice walls appeared one after another, and they were about to form a complete encirclement, completely surrounding them. At this moment, not only the group of Crystal People, but even Orkin's face showed anxiety. He even wanted to send those mercenaries to help other Crystal People escape. However, looking at the terrifying figure flying in the sky with powerful magic power, Orkin finally cut off this dangerous idea. He had seen through Chao Xing's outburst. This Lord of the Other World has at least the strength of the 7th level, and is also a magician. A strong man of this level can kill all the people he brought with him with a large spell. Now Orkin can only hope that these Crystal People escape fast enough, or the opponent's magic power is exhausted. However, what made him desperate was that the Lord of the Other World in the air was still releasing ice walls, like a monster that would never get tired. Chapter 559. Hua la la. In the blink of an eye, the encirclement of thousands of ice walls was completely formed, and the Crystal People, including the caravan of Orkin, were also surrounded. The surrounded Crystal People did not sit still and wait for death. They kept waving their crystal-like arms to attack the ice wall, making crisp sounds of ding, crack. However, their attacks were useless, leaving only a few white marks on the ice wall. With Chao Xing's current mental strength, these ice walls have a durability of 70,000 to 80,000. With their attack power, it is impossible to break them in a short time. Seeing that the attack was ineffective, these crystal people even thought about jumping out directly. After all, these temporary ice walls are only 4 or 5 meters high, and they can still barely jump over them with a running start. Chao Xing naturally saw the thoughts of these crystal people. The next moment, the suit effect on his body was instantly activated. Winter is coming! Wow! The strong cold air swept out instantly, and the temperature around dropped by 30 degrees on the spot. The surface of the bodies of the crystal people was gradually covered with a thick layer of frost, and it became extremely difficult to move. In the absolute low temperature, even crystal creatures would be affected. Including the merchant Orkin and his guards, their teeth were trembling with cold at this moment. At the same time, Chao Xing raised his staff, and 3 huge icebergs appeared above their heads. Then, a faint voice sounded. Okay, stay still. If you move one more step, I won't care if you're smashed to pieces. After hearing this, the group of crystal people stopped immediately. They also knew that with the strength of this great wizard, they had no hope of escaping. Soon, they gathered together honestly. Chao Xing also removed the special effect of the winter is coming suit. At the same time, Orkin and the group of mercenaries also recovered from the terrifying cold air. His body was still shaking uncontrollably, and his eyes were filled with fear as he looked at Chao Xing. It was not until a moment later that the merchant Orkin gradually came back to his senses and looked at him with a shocked expression. Lord Chao Xing, you are really a hidden talent. Not only is your territory so prosperous, but your own strength is also so strong. I think no one in the entire snowstorm field can be your opponent. There was some resentment and powerlessness in his tone. Chao Xing smiled faintly and responded, It's just a little magic, nothing. Then, Mr. Orkin, I will take these crystal people away. Hearing this, the businessman suddenly felt a toothache. Obviously, Chao Xing saw through his trick. When he thought about selling this batch of crystal people for 1 million crowns, he couldn't help but feel heartache and pain. This time he really lost a lot after returning to the Chamber of Commerce, because the loss was so great, he even had to suffer a lot of punishment. But there was no way. Who told him to calculate Chao Xing first? Now he could only admit defeat. Okay, Orkin said with an embarrassed look. Chao Xing still had a smile on his face, and then waved his hand. Soon, a team of powerful warriors came out of the territory and led these crystal people over. Then, Chao Xing chuckled and said, Then, Mr. Orkin, we see you next time. If there are still such good slaves, remember to contact me again. After hearing this, the merchant's face was extremely ugly. Orkin said resentfully, Okay, Lord Chao Xing, next time I have good slaves, I will definitely come to you again. Definitely. He said the last sentence very hard, with a little unwillingness in his tone. After a moment, he sighed helplessly, and then left with the caravan. The back figure was a little lonely. After the giant chamber of commerce left, the group of crystal people were surrounded by a group of powerful warriors, and stood there awkwardly. At this moment, they were crowded together, like walking crystals, which was quite artistic. Chao Xing looked at the group of crystal people in front of him and asked, Can you speak? At the same time, one of the elite crystal people named Sanyeshi stood out. She stood tall, her body covered with crystals, reflecting colorful light. Her arms were like slender crystal prisms, with smooth and hard lines. Under her distinctive face, her facial features were also made of crystal. Then she slowly said, We can talk, Lord. The voices of these crystal people are very distinctive, like the crisp and pleasant sound of gently hitting crystal with an iron pestle. Then, she bowed to Chao Xing, I'm very sorry, my powerful lord. We didn't mean to run away. Please forgive us. At the same time, the other crystal people also bowed and saluted, saying in unison, Please forgive us. The fighting power Chao Xing just showed had already convinced this group of crystal people, so he admitted his mistake straightforwardly at this time. He smiled and said, I know that you were originally going to cooperate with Orkin in acting. After you escape from me, the giant chamber of commerce will continue to capture you, right? Hearing this, all the crystal people trembled slightly. Sanshur said softly, You are right, the giant chamber of commerce has released a positioning magic on us. No matter where we escape, they will capture us again. We have to cooperate with him. Chao Xing nodded slightly, which was also within his expectations. Don't worry, since you have come to my territory, from now on you are my people in my territory. No one can take you away. The crystal people looked at each other. They also believed that with the strength of this lord, the giant chamber of commerce could not have any intention of taking this territory. At the same time, they responded, "Yes, respected lord." Chao Xing first issued a recruitment invitation to them. Recruitment successful. Crystal people, trifoliate stone/phosphorus stone/flint, joined your territory, and the territory population increased by 134. After the recruitment is completed, the next step is to arrange accommodation for these crystal people, and test their so-called ability to produce crystals. Follow me. After saying that, he walked towards the territory. A group of shining crystal people followed behind him, making crisp sounds as they walked, like a unique landscape, attracting many people's attention. After crossing the city gate and returning to the territory, Chao Xing looked at the remaining crystal resources in the territory. For us white crystal * 9624. There are nearly 10,000 copies, which may not seem like much, but it is also a very amazing amount. After all, even to repair the legendary weapon Magdel, only 10,000 white crystals are needed. This shows how precious this crystal is. He first took out a piece of white crystal from his backpack, turned around and asked, "Can you eat this crystal?" On the field, the pupils of these crystal people suddenly emitted a strange light, and one could even feel their inner desire. The crystal person named Sanyeshi said, "Yes, this respected lord. We haven't eaten crystal for many days, and the people are already starving." Chao Xing glanced at their panel and found that the satiety of each crystal people had indeed dropped below 60, and many had dropped below 50, and they all had negative status. A thoughtful look appeared in his eyes, and then he asked, "Do you have to eat crystal stones every day?" The elite named Sanyeshi said again, "My lord, we don't need to eat every day, and it's okay to eat some ordinary stones occasionally. However, these ordinary stones can only be used to temporarily satisfy hunger. Long-term consumption will not only destroy our body structure, but in the end, our bodies will turn into ordinary stones, and will no longer be able to produce crystals." Chao Xing nodded slightly. Then, he waved his hand and took out more than 600 pieces of frost white crystal stones, saying, "Eat, fill your stomach first." Seeing so many white crystal stones, the crystal pupils of these crystal people burst into a terrifying light. Obviously, these crystal stones are extremely tempting delicacies for them. In addition, in order to save costs, Orkin had been feeding them ordinary stones on the way, and only occasionally fed them some crystal stones, which made them more eager. The group of crystal people thanked in unison. "Thank you, Lord." Then, they each picked up a few pieces of frost white crystal stones, and started to chew them. Chao Xing watched their actions. He was also a little curious. How did these crystal people eat stones, and how did they produce crystals? Under Chao Xing's gaze, these crystal people seemed a little embarrassed. One by one, they covered their mouths, and put the crystal stones into their mouths. Then they showed a mouth full of teeth. Each tooth looked very sharp, as if it was made of pure diamond, and a light bite would break the white crystal stone. Suddenly, the sound of crackling was heard. Chao Xing's teeth felt a little sour, and he sighed in his heart, "Wow, these crystal people have really good teeth." At the same time, a series of system prompts appeared. "Your territory member, Sanyeshi ate 1 frost white crystal stone, and the satiety increased by 10. Your territory member, Hongshur used 1 frost white crystal stone, and the satiety increased by 10. Your..." Seeing the system prompts, Chao Xing was happy. Eating stones can really increase your satiety, and it seems to increase quite a bit. Soon, these crystal people ate all 6 frost white crystal stones given by Chao Xing in no time. Their satiety also increased to more than 90, and many of them even reached the full value of 100. Then, they patted their stomachs and said with an embarrassed smile, "I'm full, thank you for the hospitality, Lord." A series of system prompts for increasing loyalty appeared. The loyalty of each crystal person has increased by about 5 or 6 points. Chao Xing nodded slightly, and calculated in his mind. It seems that a crystal person only needs to eat 3 white crystals a day to be full. There are 112 people here, which means a maximum consumption of 336 crystals a day. In other words, the number of crystals in his backpack is enough to support about a month. If mixed with ordinary stones, it will not be a problem to support a few months. And such a long time is enough for him to find a new type of mineral vein. Chao Xing calmed down slightly, but his eyes were still filled with curiosity. Because he only saw these crystal people swallowing the stones, but he didn't know how they digested them. And how did they spit out the crystal stones? After a while, one of the crystal people, who was about 1.2 meters tall and named Xiao Hushur, suddenly covered his stomach. Then he looked at the other crystal people and said incoherently, I want. Before Chao Xing could react. Then the crystal person suddenly squatted down and covered his mouth. Voila! A sound like crystal fragments flowing sounded, as if something was spit out. After a moment, the crystal person slowly stood up, looking embarrassed. In her hand, there was a hexagonal crystal with a complete appearance and a dark black surface. There was still a strange liquid on it. Before Chao Xing could react. After eating, more than a dozen crystal people seemed to have different reactions. They trotted to the side and squatted down as well. Voila! Strange sounds rang out, making people think of something strange. A strange look appeared in Chao Xing's eyes. After a while, these crystal people came out from the corners one after another. Chao Xing saw that they each held a hexagonal crystal in their hands, ranging in color from dark black to white, about the size of a baby's fist. Obviously, these were the crystals they produced. Chao Xing probably understood the principle. These crystal people have no reproductive organs or excretory organs. They have a very unique way of eating and metabolism. After the crystal stone is digested, it is affected by some kind of force in the body, undergoes special changes, and turns into this magical crystal. Then it is excreted through the mouth again. At the same time, the crystal people holding the crystal in their hands looked at Chao Xing with an embarrassed look on their faces. Lord, do you want these crystals? Of course. Chao Xing did not show any discomfort, and took them directly. Obtained, dark crystal, purple, *13. Obtained, flashing crystal, gold, *2. As the system introduced, the rarer the crystal, the lower the probability of production. So in this batch of crystals, there are only 2 flashing crystals, and as for the legendary rarer colorful crystals, there is not even a single one. I looked at the properties. Dark crystal, purple. Quality, rare. Item properties. When embedded in a weapon or equipment, it can increase 2 points of charm and improve the basic properties of the equipment by 5%. Shining crystal, gold. Quality, rare. Item properties. When embedded in a weapon or equipment, it can increase 5 points of charm and improve the basic properties of the equipment by 10%. Note, after embedding a shining crystal, the equipment's usage level will be increased by 10 levels. Note 2. Each piece of equipment can be embedded with a maximum of 1 crystal. Good guy. A dark crystal can increase the basic attributes of equipment by 5%, and a flash crystal can even increase it by 10%. What does this mean? Like Lu Mushua's ancient sword, it has more than 7,000 attack power, and 2,000 4-dimensional attribute bonuses. After inlaying a flash crystal, it can increase more than 700 attack power plus 200 4-dimensional attribute bonuses. It can be said that the improvement is huge. No wonder Orkan said that a flash crystal is worth more than millions of crowns. This thing is really worth the price. Moreover, these crystal people can also spit out more precious colorful crystals. This also made Chao Xing a little curious about how powerful the properties of more advanced crystals, like colorful crystals, are. He first put all the crystals into his backpack, then looked at a tall crystal person in the crowd and asked, Sanshur, under what conditions do you crystal people need to produce colorful crystals? And what is the effect of colorful crystals? Do you know? The elite crystal man replied respectfully, My dear lord, the power contained in the colorful crystal is about twice as strong as the flashing crystal. And the production probability of this kind of crystal is completely random, so we can't control it. After listening to the other party's explanation, Chao Xing was thoughtful. If it is twice, it is a full 30% increase. This is quite powerful. For example, the full set of Ode to Light set worn by Lu Mushua is a level 70 equipment. If all of them are inlaid with sparkling crystals, it will be a level 100 suit, including those legendary equipment with a fixed level of 70, they can all be upgraded to level 100. This upgrade can be said to be quite good. Of course, the premise is that there must be enough colorful crystals. He asked again, then how do you crystal people reproduce? Chao Xing has been thinking about whether he can increase the number of crystal people by accelerating their reproduction. After all, no matter how low the probability is, if the population base is large enough, the probability can be raised. When they heard this question, the crystal people on the scene looked confused again. Obviously, due to cultural differences, they didn't know what reproduction meant. It was still the 3-leaf stone who gave the answer. My lord, the reproduction method of our crystal people is quite special, or rather, it cannot be called reproduction, but should be called division. Division? The 3-leaf stone nodded gently, yes. After our crystal people eat a lot of crystals for many years, a small crystal will condense on a certain part of the body. As time goes by, this small crystal will continue to grow. After about 3 months, it will fall off our bodies and form a small crystal person. The small crystal person will continue to grow by eating crystal stones until it becomes a big crystal person like us. Chao Xing's eyes showed a look of sudden realization. It seems that it will take a while to expand the size of these crystal people. At the same time, the crystal person named Xiao Husher next to him said, "Lord, here." Chao Xing looked over. He saw the little crystal man, about 1.2 meters tall, pointing at her belly, which seemed to have a slight bulge, like a pregnant woman. Little Amber said happily, "I already have a little crystal man in my belly. In 2 months, this little crystal man will jump down and grow up quickly. It's amazing." Chao Xing's mouth twitched. Although what little Amber said was very normal. But with her small body, I always felt a sense of weirdness. He didn't ask any more questions, since he already knew what he needed to know. "I understand. You will live in the territory from now on. Will you live in the house, or will we arrange other places for you to live?" The more than 100 crystal people looked at each other. Sanyashi spoke again. "Lord, we can live anywhere. Crystal people are generally not afraid of the cold. Of course, if possible, it would be great if you could build a few stone houses for us." Chao Xing looked at his backpack. Come to think of it, he actually had the construction drawings of the primary stone house, which he had obtained in the wild boar tribe last time, and now it came in handy. "I see. I have someone come over to build a few stone houses for you." Soon, Chao Xing called the polar man Duan over. "Duan, build some stone houses for these new members as their residences. Just build them in the second ring area of the territory." "Yes, I do it right away." Chapter 560. Duan respectfully accepted the task and trotted forward. Chao Xing said to the group of crystal people, "Next, you wait for Duan to build the house, and you can walk around the territory at other times." "Okay, Lord." Soon, they followed Duan. Although these crystal people have hands and feet, they can work. But their body structure is too strange. If they were damaged or broken during work, it would be a huge loss. After all, I spent hundreds of millions of crowns to buy these crystal people, and I still hope that they can produce more crystals and bring benefits to the territory. After arranging these crystal people, the sound of horse hooves came to my ears. It was Saint Harati, who returned with a group of centaurs. Yesterday afternoon, Harati was sent out by Chao Xing to explore the area marked by Shining Star, so he missed the legendary battle. At this moment, looking at the atmosphere of martial law in the territory and the destroyed city walls, a solemn look appeared in her eyes. However, after she saw Chao Xing's figure, she was slightly relieved. She quickly came to Chao Xing's side and reported solemnly, "Dear Lord, we have already explored the wasteland you mentioned. There is a ruin in the center of the wasteland, and under the ruins is a hidden passage leading to the underground. We found a large mineral vein below that is no less than the size of the Lampuri Grotto, which contains a large amount of shadow amethyst, energy crystals, etc. This is a vein with rich resources." After listening to Harati's report, Chao Xing's face gradually showed a smile. Shadow amethyst this, or is also an important resource for him. It can not only be used to upgrade the Arrow Tower enhancement function of the War Research Institute, but also be used as food for this group of crystal people. I was still worried about where to get this crystal, but now it was found directly by Shining Star. Sure enough, the function of the Shining Throne is still as powerful as ever. Chao Xing asked, "Are there any enemies in that mine?" "Yes," Harati said solemnly. "We encountered a large group of mole people in it. After a night of fierce fighting, we cleared out all the enemies inside and have successfully occupied the mine. These are the spoils we got after the battle. Please take a look." After she finished speaking, she handed over a green backpack. Chao Xing opened it and took a look, then put all of it into the backpack. Obtained, Master Level Heart of Power *1. Obtained, Expert Level Heart of Power *6. Obtained, Advanced Heart of Power *41. Obtained, Level 4 and 5 Elite Mole Man Souls *28. Obtained, Level 5 and 6 Leader Mole Man Souls *6. Obtained, Level 6 Leader Mole Man Soul *1. Obtained, Viscous Liquid *68574. Obtained. It was still a large number of hearts of power and souls, as well as tens of thousands of units of viscous liquid. Now there are more and more mechanical equipment in his territory, and the amount of these viscous liquids used has also increased. Chao Xing praised, "Very good, your Centaur Legion has been through a night of fighting and it's hard. Go back and rest now, I will arrange people to mine the mine." "Yes." After saying that, the Centaur Saint turned around and returned to his residence. When Harati left, Chao Xing called the polar man Lu Shuang over again. My lord, Lu Shuang is here. The vicissitudes of the polar man's voice sounded. Lu Shuang, I will give you a mining mission next. Chao Xing ordered. As the captain, you will lead 100 polar men and drive 10 transport vehicles to a mine near the territory for mining. I will send a team of soldiers to protect you. Also, remember to bring enough supplies. After receiving Chao Xing's order, Lu Zhuang immediately said respectfully, Yes, Lord. Lu Zhuang promises to complete the task. He quickly came to the edge of the territory, and then began to select 100 polar people, and divided them into 10 teams. Then they entered the transport vehicles one by one. After this period of training, most polar people can basically operate this kind of transport prop. Buzz buzz buzz. The energy cores of 10 black transport vehicles started, and soon left here. At this point, the entire territory entered a state of development again. Chao Xing didn't have anything important to do. After all, his level had reached the maximum level. Those important places were also explored by people. So, he stayed in the territory to meditate, absorb magic crystals, and then went to the library to read books. Time passed in a flash, and 2 days passed. When the time came to the 33rd day of the development period, that is, there were still 12 days before the third round of monster siege. In these 2 days, the legion sent by Chao Xing almost covered the territory of 100 or 200 kilometers, which was almost equivalent to 1/3 of the area of the snowstorm plain. A large number of enhanced ice nests were discovered by them, and then they destroyed the ice nests after killing the monsters inside. The nearby survivor lords basically didn't touch many ice nest monsters. The large-scale sweep by those warriors brought Chao Xing's gold points to a rapid increase of 200 to 300 points per day, which can be said to be a very fast growth rate. At this rate, it will not be a problem to brush 4,000 points by the end of the monster siege. In addition to the increase in gold points, there is also an increase in personnel strength. Everyone's level is rising rapidly. Warriors who have just broken through the 6th level can basically level up 3 or 4 levels a day, and they can reach the maximum level of 70 in a few days. And those with status skills, the level soars even more terrifyingly. For example, the Priestess Fanas has already reached level 70, as well as the Dragon Shaman Vimni, the Aurora Knight Lu Mushua, etc. The levels are all rising rapidly. Chao Xing is still in charge of the territory. After all, he has already chosen candidates for the 3 places he is going to explore. There is one thing we need to do now, which is to go to the Daisa Plateau. It is said that there is a dragon's nest there. There may be newborn dragons in it, which can be tamed using the dragon taming reins. But this place is too far away, even across a kingdom, and it takes many days to go back and forth. I don't know how the trainer's brother got there. Just as Chao Xing was thinking about this, he suddenly saw a call request. It was sent by Tianjing. After the call was connected, his deep and excited voice came out immediately. Boss! Chao Xing asked, What's the matter? Tianjing said excitedly, Boss, as you said, we have been recruiting people in the past 2 days. Now the 300 survivors of the level 6 Legion have been recruited. These 300 survivors have all been assessed by us and are very strong. And they also have several level 5 core combatants, as well as a large number of ordinary combatants and staff. The number of people is really too large. If Brother Yao's territory hadn't been upgraded by 1 level in the past 2 days, and the population had increased by 1,000, it wouldn't have been able to accommodate them at all. Even so, the territory is already full with 3,000 people. Not counting other divisions, Brother Yao's territory has nearly 1,000 combatants, and most of them are at level 5. There are also more than 1,000 other staff members. The territory is developing very fast now. Tianjing's excited voice kept coming from the voice. Chao Xing also smiled after hearing this. This is the advantage of the Legion model. As long as enough lords are recruited, and these lords come with their families, a large number of people can be recruited in a short time. It even reached the population scale of Chao Xing's territory in an instant, which can be called a step to heaven. Of course, in terms of quality, it is definitely not as good as his side. Any master from Chao Xing can destroy this legion. Tianjing, you are doing well, keep it up. You need to improve your strength as soon as possible, otherwise there will be no chance of improvement when the new expansion comes. Tianjing, who was on the other side, also heard the seriousness in Chao Xing's tone. He said solemnly, I know, boss. I will go and tell Brother Yao right away. After hanging up the call, the sound of electricity came to my ears again. After the call was connected, a soft voice came to my ears. It was from Isabel. Chao Xing asked first, Isabel, how is the situation? Lord, I have arrived at the target location. As you said, there is indeed a heritage palace here. Isabel slowly recounted what she had encountered in the past 2 days. This palace contains a strong breath of light, but if you want to enter, you need to pass the test at the door. At present, I have passed the test and entered the palace. Then I defeated several guards and dropped 2 light spell scrolls from them. Now I have entered the palace. Just like the previous Sword Master inheritance, I need to pass rounds of tests before I can inherit the inheritance inside. After listening to this, Chao Xing's eyes showed appreciation. Then he said, very good, you continue to pass the trial and try to return to the territory within 12 days. Yes. After hanging up the call from Isabel, Chao Xing heard a steady voice again. This time it was from Assam. Chao Xing said happily, good guy, you are all here together today, right? So he answered the call again. Assam's tone was a little excited, and then he reported, Lord, after a few days of challenges, I have successfully passed the first 3 rounds of trials, and got the 3 equipments of Tyrant's Arm, Tyrant's Foot, and Tyrant's Attack. Not only that, when I cleared the 3rd round, I also got a chance to break through to the 8th level hero level. But since I have already broken through to the hero level, I gave this opportunity to Frostwolf Winter. There are only 3 rounds of trials left before I can completely conquer this tomb. After listening to his report, Chao Xing also smiled. I didn't expect that in addition to the suit, there were unexpected gains. In this way, he has another 8th level combat power. Chao Xing praised, not bad, Assam. Can you get back to the territory within 12 days? After waiting for a while, Assam replied, yes, Lord. Chao Xing replied, very good, keep working hard and strive to return as soon as possible. Also, if the trial is too difficult, remember to give up directly, don't force yourself. Yes, thank you, Lord, for your concern. After hanging up the call, Chao Xing continued to wait in the territory. At this time, the polar man Duan came over and saluted respectfully. Good day, Lord. Tell me, Duan, what's the matter? The polar man reported, according to your instructions, we have upgraded all the blacksmith shops. Now those blacksmiths have started working. Mr. Harold asked me to ask you if you have any new instructions? Chao Xing thought for a moment. Speaking of which, he really has a lot of drawings to make. The God Guardian Sword, the Nero's Cannon, as well as the drawings of the large mining robot, and the 3rd generation War Colossus. The first 2 types need to be made by blacksmiths. The latter 2 types of robots need to be made by Locke in the mechanical factory. So Chao Xing said, I know, I will go over and issue them new tasks now, you go ahead and do your work. Yes, respected Lord. Duan left here quickly. Chao Xing went straight to the industrial area of the 4th ring of the territory. Soon, a row of black buildings with a height of 6 or 7 meters appeared in front of him. These are all expert blacksmith shops, exuding a cold and solid atmosphere. Compared with the lonely blacksmith shop some time ago, the current scale can be said to have expanded a lot. On the roof of each blacksmith shop, there are tall chimneys of various shapes, and the sound of metal knocking can be heard from dozens of meters away. Obviously, these blacksmiths have already started working. Chao Xing pushed open the door of one of the blacksmith shops. There were more than a dozen blacksmiths working hard to forge inside. When they saw Chao Xing coming in, they all greeted him. Chao Xing nodded slightly. Then he found Harold, who was sweating profusely, in the crowd. When the dwarf blacksmith saw Chao Xing, he immediately put down his work and said respectfully, Lord, are you here to inspect the work? Chao Xing shook his head and asked, Harold, what are you making recently? The dwarf blacksmith said respectfully, we plan to make a batch of 1,000 sets of standard armor and equip the soldiers. Then we will make a batch of weapons. Chao Xing said, yes, but you don't need to make the purple quality weapon next, just make these 2 things directly. After that, he took out 2 drawings from his backpack and handed them to him. Harold took them and took a quick look. The drawing of the God Guardian Sword was not bad. After all, he was well informed. When he saw the drawing of the Nero's Cannon, he gradually showed surprise in his eyes. There is actually a drawing of a large cannon. And it looks like this cannon is very powerful. Chao Xing nodded slightly. Are you sure you can forge it? No problem, Lord. With enough materials, it will take about 2 days to make one. Harold replied solemnly. Chao Xing's eyes showed admiration. Making a Nero's cannon in 2 days is quite efficient, worthy of being a master blacksmith. Very good, then you will be responsible for making Nero's cannons, and the other 2 expert blacksmiths will be responsible for making more God Guardian swords. As for the other blacksmiths, just make armor in batches. Chao Xing quickly issued a series of orders. Yes, sir. After giving Harold instructions, Chao Xing went to the machinery factory next door. Bang! Bang! As soon as he entered, the factory was filled with the sound of machinery and gears turning, even noisier than the blacksmith shop. Passing through various large machinery and equipment, Chao Xing quickly found Locke, who was working. He was directing several other goblins to assemble a dark blue, huge war tool together. It is 3 stories high, and the main frame is made of thick cold iron. The huge sling arm is like a winding ice dragon, more than 10 meters long. This huge tool is naturally the Frost Catapult, which is also an epic level machine. After seeing Chao Xing, the goblins stopped their actions and saluted him. Chao Xing waved his hand and asked, "Locke, how many Frost Trebuchets have been produced?" The goblin replied respectfully, "Oh, great lord, the goblins have been working overtime these days to make this kind of catapult. After our unremitting efforts, we have already made 11 of them." He rubbed his dry hands and said with a smile, "You know, this kind of large-scale war tool is very complicated to make, so the work efficiency is not high." Chao Xing interrupted Locke directly, and then took out 2 production drawings. Locke quickly took it and took a look. A smile appeared on his wrinkled face. "Lord, these 2 blueprints are really powerful. Especially the War Colossus at the back, it is even comparable to the top mecha of our tribe." Chao Xing asked, "Can it be made?" "Of course, no problem," Locke replied decisively. "But this kind of War Colossus requires high-level materials such as meteorite ingots, which we should not have in our territory." Chao Xing nodded. "Indeed, we don't have it, so you can make a few large mining robots for the time being. The work of the Frost Catapult can almost be stopped. When the number of mining robots is sufficient, the mining efficiency of the territory members can be accelerated." Locke straightened his body and replied respectfully, "No problem, respected lord." After giving the goblin the task, Chao Xing left the machinery factory. Then he continued to meditate and read books in the territory. Time flies, and another 5 days have passed. Now it is the 38th day of the development period, and there is only 1 week before the 3rd round of Monster Siege begins. During these 5 days, the levels of the combatants in the territory have also increased rapidly. First, the Dragon Speaker has reached 94% of level 99, and only needs the last bit of experience to reach level 100. The level of the Dragon Seraphis has also soared to level 91, successfully becoming a level 10 creature. In addition, Sarah's level has also reached level 85, and she is already a level 9 assassin. Of course, Lumushua's level surge is the most terrifying. She has now reached level 84, and is almost catching up with Sarah. In addition, during this period of time, Chao Xing also used more than a dozen master-level power hearts, allowing all the creatures above the leader level in the territory to break through to the master level. Now, there are more than 50 master-level creatures in his territory, and most of them have reached level 70. If all these people can break through to heroes, it will be an extremely terrifying force. Thinking of this, Chao Xing sighed. "It's a pity that we have to wait for more than a month before the Lost Royal City will be open. Otherwise, I can bring all the combatants in the territory over there and make a big improvement. But it doesn't matter. Assam and Isabel are both challenging the trials, and have made good improvements. 2 days ago, according to the news they sent, both of them got some opportunities. Isabel has successfully broken through to the 8th level in that inheritance, and became a heroic light mage. Because Assam was originally an 8th level creature, he upgraded the Frost Wolf under his seat to the 8th level. In other words, there are already 2 more hero-level creatures in Chao Xing's territory. When they have completely completed all the trials, they will probably usher in a new round of transformation." Thinking of this, Chao Xing's face once again showed a smile. Not long after the warriors left the territory to deal with the enhanced ice nest, Chao Xing's ears once again rang with the sound of electricity. After the connection, a clear and steady voice came. "Lord, I am Rennie's." Chapter 561. Speaking of which, since a few days ago, Rennie said that she was going to find a big snake in the forest and take back the holy object of the elves. She has not contacted me for a few days. So it seems that there should be new progress in the search for the big snake. Chao Xing replied, "Rennie's, I heard you." The Ascalon archer quickly reported in the voice. "During this period of time, I have been looking for the traces of the big snake in this huge forest. But this forest is so big that I searched for several days without any clues. Until yesterday evening, by chance, I saw it hunting prey in the jungle. I didn't alarm it, but quietly followed it, and finally found the nest of the big snake." Her tone was slightly excited. After a pause, Rennie's continued, "But this big snake is a little strange. After it swallowed the prey, I saw it briefly change into a human-like appearance. And its strength is extremely strong, estimated to be no less than the 9th level. I may not be able to defeat it alone, so for the sake of safety, I would like to ask you for help. After listening to Rennie's report, Chao Xing's eyes suddenly showed doubt. At least a 9th level snake? And it can transform into a human form? Obviously, this snake is weird. I know, Rennie's, you wait for me in the forest, I will bring people here now. Rennie's was stunned when she heard that he was going to come in person. Then he said solemnly, Yes, Lord, please be careful on the road. Okay. After saying that, Chao Xing quickly hung up the call and pressed the communication device next to his ear again. Bing On, stop fighting outside and go back to the territory. Currently, Binglan's level is just a little bit away from reaching level 100. She can just kill some monsters, so it won't be a waste even if she leaves now. As for Sarah, forget it. Chao Xing still wants her to reach the maximum level of 100 as soon as possible. After hearing the order, the dragon speaker, who was controlling the dragon outside and killing the ice nest monster, stopped. Then she slashed out with a sword, killing all the monsters in front of her, including the enhanced ice nest. Soon, she rode the dragon and rushed towards the territory. After thinking for a while, Chao Xing called another person over. Eilina, you also come to the center of the territory. I have something to talk to you about. After a moment, the charming voice of the snakeman priest came to his ears. Okay, Lord, I come right over. Next, Chao Xing stood in the center of the territory and waited. A few minutes later, there was a whistling sound of wind overhead. A huge shadow, carrying a strong chill, suddenly descended. It was Seraphis, and the dragon speaker Bing On standing on its back. At the same time, a graceful figure slowly walked over from the residential area of the territory. That was the Serpent Clan priest Eilina. Because she had 3 status skills, including Serpent Clan Madness, she could also gain experience at home, so she was basically responsible for guarding the house. By now, Eilina is already a level 70 leader. With the blessing of her status, her strength is quite terrifying. With her white frost form, she has no pressure to fight an 8th level commander alone. The snakeman priest stared at Chao Xing with his narrow eyes, and then asked, Does the Lord have a new task for Eilina? Chao Xing nodded slightly, and then said, Eilina, you will accompany me for a while. There is a strange big snake in that place, which seems to be able to transform into a human form. I am not sure if it is from your snakeman tribe. So I need you to go with me to take a look. The charm and seduction in the eyes of the snakeman priest disappeared instantly, and he became serious. Can a snake that can turn into a human form? It sounds like a characteristic of our snakeman. I see, Lord. Then Chao Xing looked at the dragon speaker next to him. Bing On, that place is 5,000 kilometers away from us, and Seraphis's flying speed is the fastest in our territory. So next, I need you to take us there and speed up the journey. 5,000 kilometers is a very long distance for others. Even a strong man like Chao Xing would need several days to reach the destination without the help of a mount or flying creature. But Bing On has the skill Dragon Sword Void Shattering, which allows her to cross the distance in a few seconds, and her mobility is terrifying. However, this skill also has a fatal flaw, which is that only she and the dragon under her can move in the void, and she cannot lead others. Therefore, Chao Xing could only use this method to get through. The dragon speaker nodded lightly. Got it. Seraphis flapped his wings and gradually landed on the ground. Then, they jumped onto the back of the dark blue dragon together. Hold on, Seraphis is very fast. The dragon speaker reminded in a low voice. Chao Xing and Eilina nodded together. As soon as the words fell, the dark blue dragon flapped its wings and rushed into the sky in an instant. Wow! As a 10th level dragon creature, with a 130% increase in movement speed, Seraphis can now reach a maximum speed of more than 2,000 kilometers per hour. At this speed, they only need 2 hours to pass through the Ice Crystal Kingdom and reach the forest where Rennie's is. It can be said to be quite terrifying. Whoosh! Seraphis vibrated his dragon wings, like a deep blue arrow. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared in the air. Just as Chao Xing and others were moving towards the area where Rennie's was at a high speed. More than 2,000 kilometers away from the border of the Ice Crystal Kingdom, there was an uninhabited area. No one knew that there was a huge tomb hidden in this sparsely populated place. At this moment, a knight wearing armor and riding a frost wolf slowly walked out of the passage and came to the deepest part of the tomb. However, the scene in front of him surprised the knight. In front of him, a wide and ancient hall appeared, surrounded by scattered broken weapons and some bones of the dead. In the center of the hall, there was an ancient war throne. Sitting on it was a figure wearing red armor, with a majestic and powerful aura. However, through the gaps in the armor, and the holes on the face of the helmet, it can be seen that the inside is empty. The other party has no entity. In other words, this is a dead soul. At this moment, this undead creature leaned on the throne, looking at the knight riding the frost wolf in front of him. A domineering laugh rang out in the hall. Ha ha ha. Interesting. After all these years, someone actually passed the 5-level trial I set up, and came to the deepest part of the tomb. And he is a knight recognized by the sword of the Lady of the Lake. How interesting. Assam did not speak, but looked at the other party with a serious look. Although this person is an undead, his aura is extremely terrifying, even not inferior to that of the dragon speaker. In other words, this is also a mutant master, and his level has reached at least level 10. Undead are usually transformed when some powerful people die, or have extremely heavy resentment, or with the help of some special means. But after these powerful people are transformed into undead, their strength will drop a lot. In other words, the opponent's strength in life must be even more terrifying, and it is possible that he has reached the legendary level. Assam seemed to realize something, and then asked, "Are you the soul of Tyrant Lloyd?" On the throne, the undead in armor laughed hoarsely. "I didn't expect that after so many years, someone still remembers my name. Little guy, how is the situation in the outside world now?" Assam shook his head. "I died thousands of years ago. You are not qualified to call me a little guy." Hearing this, the red undead on the throne seemed to be interested. "Oh, resurrected after death? It seems that you have also accepted the call of that mysterious power. At the cost of yourself, you were sealed in the summoning space, and now you have become the thug of those lords of the other world. When I died, I heard the same voice, but I refused." Assam's eyes showed doubts and asked, "Why?" On the throne, this powerful undead chuckled. "Why?" As he spoke, he gradually stood up from the throne. The red armor on his body creaked because he had not moved for too long, and the red cape on his shoulders fluttered, making him look like an undead god of war. "Because I am Tyrant Lloyd." When he shouted Tyrant Lloyd, a strong aura rose up and directly filled the entire underground palace. The strong sense of oppression made the frost wolf under Assam's feet tense its 4 hooves, with its fangs exposed, ready to pounce at any time. The undead stepped down from the throne and said, "How could I choose to be sealed in the summoning space just to survive? And I have to obey the instructions of some little guys, and even call them Lord? This is an unprecedented shame for Tyrant Lloyd. I want to be resurrected in this world in my own way, and recreate my empire blueprint." As he got closer, the sense of oppression became more and more solemn. It's like an ancient king is walking towards you slowly. Most people would even kneel down in front of such momentum. However, Assam has been following Chowxing all the way, and has seen many storms. He asked with an unchanged expression, "It's very difficult to be resurrected after death. What do you want to do?" The ghost of Tyrant Lloyd laughed. "Knight recognized by the sword of the Lake Lady, what do you think is the purpose of my designing these trials?" Assam shook his head. "Of course, I need to find a strong enough body, then wipe out the other party's consciousness, and occupy his body. And you have all the conditions. Not only do you have strong strength, but you also have legendary weapons. It is the perfect body I have always dreamed of. As long as I can occupy your body, I will be able to reappear in the world again. With my skills and my strength, I will soon be able to raise a powerful army. Then, the world will hear the name of Tyrant Lloyd again, ha ha ha." The other party's unbridled laughter echoed throughout the hall, even causing the ground to vibrate slightly. And Assam also understood what the other party meant. This tomb was a trap from the beginning. The purpose was to lure some powerful beings in, and then seize his body. In this way, Tyrant Lloyd can be resurrected in this world. The knight gradually tightened the sword of the Lake Lady in his hand, and said seriously, "No one can erase my will, including you. I swore that I would be loyal to the Lord until death." The ghost of Tyrant Lloyd couldn't help but sneer when he heard this. "See, this is what I call stupidity. It's really too stupid to call a group of little guys, who are not even as old as your fingernails, Lord. Do you think these weak guys are worthy of our surrender?" Assam answered without hesitation, "Of course they are qualified. All my strength is given by the Lord, including my sword of the Lady of the Lake and my commander-level potential. Anyone who insults the Lord is my enemy, and the enemy must be destroyed." After he finished speaking, a strong killing intent rose from his pupils. Looking at the fighting spirit in the knight's eyes, a flame ignited in the empty pupils of Tyrant Lloyd. "Heh, stupid. Only the great Lloyd is worthy of your loyalty and everything. Now, let me correct your foolish thoughts." After he finished speaking, he waved his hand, and a blood-red sword flew quickly. The ghost of the tyrant rushed towards him the moment he grasped the great sword. Assam also held the sword of the Lady of the Lake in front of him. The hind legs of Winter under his feet instantly tightened, and he kicked forward fiercely, rushing out hundreds of meters in an instant. Then, the two powerful creatures collided instantly. Kung! On the other side. After passing rounds of trials, Isabel gradually came to an ancient white door. She felt the surge of power in her body inside. I didn't expect that after the previous trials, I actually broke through to the 8th level. The light mage who left this legacy is indeed very powerful. Many of the spells in it are not even mastered by the holy light sages in the church. I must inherit the power in it. She made up her mind, and her eyes became more determined. Then she held the staff and gradually passed through the white door. When she crossed the door, an empty scene appeared in front of Isabel. There seemed to be nothing here, just a white space. At this moment, a strong light appeared and quickly condensed into the shape of a humanoid creature. This humanoid creature radiated strong light all over its body, and its body quickly reached hundreds of meters high, even touching the ceiling of the hall, like a giant of light. Isabel looked up, and the blank face of this luminous giant gradually showed human features. A neutral voice sounded. Holy Light Priest from the church, you have successfully passed all the trials I set, proving your ability. Now, are you willing to accept my inheritance? Isabel raised her head, looked at the glowing shadow, and asked, What can I get after accepting your inheritance? The neutral voice replied, After successfully accepting the inheritance, your potential will be further advanced to the limit of living beings, that is, the dominant potential. And you will also gain my lifelong magical insights, and your mastery of light elements will be directly upgraded to the legendary level. In addition, you can also comprehend some of my own light spells, including forbidden spells and legendary spells. Hearing this, Isabel's expression changed slightly. She was not overwhelmed by the series of benefits promised by the other party, but asked calmly, So what do I have to pay? While getting huge benefits, there may be invisible costs behind it. Equivalent exchange is a universal principle in any world. After hearing this, the giant of light chuckled and said, You don't need to pay anything. As you can see, this is just my consciousness. I have been dead for many years. If you really want to do something for me, when the Blood Legion appears again, help me kill a centurion named Mika Blood. Isabel's expression moved slightly, and she asked with uncertainty, Do you also have a grudge against the Blood Legion? The giant of light replied, Almost. I died when the Blood Legion broke out. This Mika Blood has cast many curses on me, and even made me unable to mobilize the power in my body. I felt that I didn't have much time left, so I lived in seclusion here and left this legacy. The Holy Light Priest's eyes once again showed a thoughtful look. It seemed that she didn't expect that this legendary light mage would also die in that war. So, she tentatively said, Recently, we have encountered the power behind the Blood Legion, the Watchers. My lord said that the Blood Legion will be born soon. Hearing this, the light on the giant of light showed a strong fluctuation, but it soon returned to calm. He said with emotion, So that's it. No wonder my inheritance has a successor at this time. It seems that everything is destined? Isabel asked in confusion, What does destined mean? Because, when I was about to die, I was unwilling to give up. So, I used the last time of my life and my own body to experiment and developed a method to deal with various curses of the Blood Legion. But when I figured it out, time was running out. In the end, he could only take the secret recipe and die with regret. The light giant's tone was a little lonely. And Isabel also understood what he meant by destined. Thousands of years ago, this legendary wizard died at the hands of the Blood Legion, dying with regret. And now, when this force is about to be born, Isabel came here. Can you give me this recipe?